T and Aaron Suttles, and over at thebarnauburn.com where they were talking about freshman All-American earlier today. Go check it all out. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at ryanbrownlive. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios. The next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
I'd say football back in America tonight, but it continues for 55 straight days, as we told you last Thursday. Jack State with a big win, and when I turned it on, they were down 3-0, and I think they were getting stopped on a drive, and I was like, uh-oh, and then it was a blowout. We'll talk about that. The other college games we got tonight, we'll get into the NFL, pretty important one for the San Francisco 49ers tonight, and the baseball playoffs, which delivered again last night. But let's start first with just the storm damage in Tampa. I have not been keeping up. I am not to try to be brown and steal a current term from the youth of America,
the youngs,
but I am a doom scroller. I am a guy, when something is going on, I will start scrolling through TikTok and/or reels or stories or whatever is being put out there, and will go on forever. So I was watching, storm surges and damages last night, and Forrester is sending me updated images throughout the night of Tropicana Field in Tampa as this massive Cat 5 hurricane. Look, that's that was a tarp roof. Keep that in mind. It's not a hard domed stadium, but just ripped to shreds, and it had a little tear. And then a little tear became a bigger tear. And if you ever had a soft-top Jeep back in the day, you know what I'm talking about here. Just part of the devastation down there.
Yeah, look, sad. I will say this. It is the worst venue I've ever been to in professional sports. I've been to, 4 or 5 games down there. I don't know how many renovations they've done in the last decade.
Well, I'm guessing they'll have to do a lot now.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've got significant water damage on something that is normally watertight.
But you just imagine if it could do something like that to a structure of that size.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, really, what does it do to it? And I saw a dude out in the middle of this, trying to light his bong. And I showed that to you, did I not?
You did.
And
I'm like, how
do you get this pre-warning that we talked about with these hurricanes, and you take it this lightly?
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Anyway, a lot of angles to look at it, but just the devastation down in Tampa and that area again through central part of Florida. So we're thinking about you guys, the Carolinas, our buddy Marty Smith and Eric Church, and as Brownie was pointing out, and we were talking about on the show yesterday with a concert coming up for the Carolinas, tickets on sale tomorrow for that. Help out wherever you can, if you can, as those storms. At one point, there was that wind of Milton here was 177 miles per hour out over the Gulf as it was approaching.
Whoa.
And there was a meteorologist that tracks the hurricanes that was on. I forget which network he was on. I saw that clip when I was doom scrolling. And when he was getting an update when it had moved back to Cat 5, he was tearing up at how massive this storm was getting over the waters.
Well, because
he knew what was ahead.
Who is the reporter that wears the silly bow tie? Ken Rosenthal?
Ken Rosenthal, the baseball guy?
Yeah, so he broke in late in the Dodgers game last night, and he was reporting, hey, it's hit land. Tropicana Field is being torn apart. And that's when I go straight to the Weather Channel, because the Dodgers at that time, the game was in hand, go to the Weather Channel, and they're doing live shots from Tropicana Field.
Yeah.
Well, that
crazy.
was a staging area for first responders.
You might have seen in some of the videos Scott showed the cots. You could see them in the outfield. They had set those up, I think 10,000 cots. That may be a crazy number, but I think that was the number I saw for first responders, and that was going to be a place to allow them to come, maybe catch a wink of sleep, get, hot meal or something like that before they get back out and start saving lives, or maybe the linemen, for the power companies. Obviously you can't do that now. The place doesn't have a roof. I mean, I guess you can, but it's probably a hazard. The greatest news of all, based on what we saw in this last hurricane, is that this one went over the Florida Peninsula and out into, Scott's showing you the cots there. That was for first responders, my understanding. I don't know if it was staged for evacuees, but maybe it was both. This headed over the Florida Peninsula and out into the Atlantic. So that's the best news, because the vast majority of the damage that was done overall from the last hurricane was once it made it up into the Carolinas.
Yeah, from the flooding and the water damage and such like that. So 2 massive storms back to back there, and we will continue to try to push forward on how you can help out. Always a great place to start is Samaritan's Purse, and always the Red Cross. If you can donate, do that, and also to your local churches. A lot of people have some funds and ways to help at your local church as well. All right, we'll get going today. We'll jump in with what we saw last night after I tell you about our friends at New Life Art. The latest piece from Daniel A. Moore is The Legend, a tribute to Coach Nick Saban and his 6 national championship seasons in Tuscaloosa. You can pre-order right now as that work continues to be put down onto canvas. DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com. Autograph prints available at one point. You'll need to check and see if those are still available from Coach Nick Saban. You can also get the 2025 calendar. It's available as well. Coupon code TNR gets you 20% off that 2025 calendar with some Alabama works of art, including Nick Saban's time in Tuscaloosa. It's The Legend, a tribute to Nick Saban from our buddy Daniel A. Moore, DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com. All right, let's go baseball first last night. The Stars showed up for the New York teams. We'll start with the one elimination. Francisco Lindor with a grand slam. Mets eliminate the Phillies. They'll start the NLCS on Sunday. That's a team that went into the Monday in Atlanta not even guaranteed for a playoff spot. Now they're 4 wins away from the World Series.
Well, through their first 59 games, they were 24-35. Pretty amazing turnaround for this Mets team. Bryce Harper, your man again. Just
it's good in the postseason.
Yeah, just the empty feeling of, just one of the best players that we've seen in the last 10-plus years.
But unlike Judge, he shows up. Like, he and Castellanos hit 379 in the series. The rest of the Phillies hit 130.
No, I get it. I'm just saying.
You're just talking about jewelry.
Yeah, I'm just talking about it. It's just so weird that, Bryce Harper leaves the Nationals.
And they win it right away.
Yeah, right away.
Yes.
He goes to a really good Phillies organization that was one of the best teams in baseball, 1 through 162, and, they've left a little short.
Have they won one? Did the Phillies win one?
No, not with Bryce.
They have not?
Yeah, they've only won 2 championships in their entire history.
One of them with Mike Schmidt and Pete Rose, right?
Yeah, and then one of them when Cole Hamels was on the hill against your Rays.
So Bryce Harper is yet to win a World Series championship.
Yet to win a World Series championship. And Lindor, that 6th inning grand slam, I had just gotten stationary at a local taco spot, and I was with Young Jack, and they had all these TVs on, and they didn't have that game on.
Are you serious?
Well, I mean,
I swear, I was listening to it on the way over.
If it was really good tacos, maybe they had some soccer on?
No, they had a replay of an NFL game going. They had like a HGTV on. They had a bunch of
HGTV?
Yeah.
Like Chip and JoJo fixing stuff up?
Yeah.
Well, interesting.
So I had to get the bartender. I was like, hey, do you mind putting this on? Right when she put it on, bases loaded, Lindor goes deep, and I'm like, game's over now.
Yeah, good timing. They put it back on HGTV.
Well, bad timing. I had the Phillies, but hey,
you
another
saw
story.
the most important play.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. If you're looking for now the Mets in the NLCS for the first time since 2015, they were 2-5 against the Dodgers, or 5-2 against San Diego, and 2-4 against the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think I flushed all those numbers because this team's playing really well.
Oh yeah,
it's a different team than whatever those 7 games or 6 games were.
Yeah,
this is a different team.
And this would be like the Tigers. I got a text from our buddy Charlie Vitella. I told you, don't mess around with these Tigers. They're hot, and the last 2 months in baseball, they've been the hottest team. And
they were like 53-62 at one point, something like that. Yeah. So they were bad losing record. Probably should have been selling off some young parts, and they kept it together. They get a great pitching performance last night, 3-0 win over Cleveland. So elimination possibility. We'll talk about those games tonight. But back to the National League. Who's going to play the Mets in the NLCS? It'll either be the Dodgers or the Padres. The Dodgers stayed alive 8-0 over San Diego. Now we're back to L.A. where all the drama started in this series. It will be chaotic for Game 5.
Yeah, and Dave Roberts is yet to name a starting pitcher. And, you know, what the Dodgers did with the bullpen start last night was pretty amazing. I mean, it was all about the offense for the Dodgers because they got up early. Brown and I were doing trivia at Odie's, and it looked like every time you looked up, Betts was going deep, Lux was going deep.
Mookie started it off, right?
He did. And, you know, coming into Tuesday's game was on an 0 for 22 slide. But the second team ever, the Dodgers last night, to throw a 9-inning shutout with at least 8 pitchers.
Oh, wow. That is a heck of a bullpen start. You're right.
Yeah.
They were all good.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, everybody was like an inning and a third, an inning and 2/3. I mean, it truly was patchwork. They put it together in front of that, what has become a really good crowd in San Diego, and now we've got a winner-take-all tomorrow night in L.A.
Who are the options for pitching, and who do you
I
hope
think
they go with?
Yamamoto is going to be the guy.
Is that who you would
He
want?
only went, I think, like 3 2/3 in game one.
Because
game one Dodger
Darvish is
win.
going for San Diego, right?
Yeah,
And he was good.
Darvish can come back. He's to that point, he's good and rested.
Yeah,
ready
he's
to
going
go.
for San Diego.
Dodger fans have seen Darvish in elimination games pitch for the Dodgers and not pitch well.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's bad Darvish that shows up. But who knows in this series?
Winner gets the Mets on Sunday. In the American League, I mentioned the stars showing up. It wasn't Aaron Judge, but it was Giancarlo Stanton. Couple of RBIs, huge stolen base. Yankees beat the Royals 3-2 in that series. So the Yankees now, tonight, 7 o'clock on TBS, can punch their ticket. Kansas City needs a win to send it back to New York.
Yeah, and look, speaking of bullpens, the Yankees have gone 13 2/3. Their relievers have yet to give up a run in this series. And Aaron Judge, if you're a Yankees fan, you got to feel good. You're up 2-1. You know, Giancarlo did have the go-ahead home run last night, and he was really good with the 3 hits and a couple of RBIs. But Aaron Judge is 1 of 11 in this series with 1 infield single. That's it, and you're still up 2-1.
Yep. I went back, or I didn't. The folks at The Athletic did. He was 5 of 36 in the 2022 postseason, LT. In his career in the postseason, Aaron Judge has struck out 71 times in postseason play.
That's incredible. 71 times?
Yeah, like who is the basketball player in the NBA that always shows up for the playoff, whatever they call him, or
Talking about Paul George?
Yeah, playoff P?
Playoff, yeah. He's the opposite. Aaron Judge is the opposite of that. He doesn't show up in the postseason. 71 times he's gone whiffing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of Clayton Kershaw-esque. You know, when you look at that.
I mean, be in that group.
You know, Aaron Judge is a Hall of Fame player. Clayton Kershaw is one of the best starting pitchers we've ever seen in our lifetime. But for whatever reason, when they get to the postseason, it just becomes a little more difficult.
He's had some random good series. I'm just looking at his breakout series, like back in 2018. Well, I mean, he only had 3 at bats, but he was 2 of 3 in the divisional. I mean, that year he was okay in the postseason. That's really the only good year he's had, though. 2018 and 2019, he had a couple of good series. Other than that, he's just been awful in every series. It's not like he has a good one, bad one, good one, bad one.
So it sets up elimination night in the American League for the teams that are ahead 2-1, or it's a push to a Game 5 coming up on Friday night if it ends up that way. Cleveland at Detroit, 5 o'clock on TNT, a Detroit win, and they don't have to go back to Cleveland. 7 o'clock TBS, Yankees and Royals. Royals hope to get a win to go back to New York.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Guardians got to, figure something out here. The Guardians have not scored a run in 20 straight innings. That's
Detroit's pitching's been that good,
That's the problem.
Well, the first time since the 1905 World Series, first 3 games of a series have been shutouts.
Yeah. I mean, the Mets have already advanced as a wild card. The Tigers look pretty good to do it. The Padres could do it over the Dodgers. I mean, anymore, man, this first round bye I don't think means anything to you. Do you guys?
Well, who got the buys this year?
Well, it was
4
the
buys,
Phillies
right?
who were going.
At one point, we just had 1 buy. Now it's 2 guys.
It was the Phillies who were going. It's the Guardians who their back is against the wall. It was the Dodgers who are now in a 1 game for everything.
Yep.
And it was the Yankees who have a 2-1 lead.
Yep.
And, I mean, I just don't – there's a lot of discussion as to whether that buy hurts you more than it helps you, Lance. I don't know if you can just pin it on that.
Yeah, again, go back last year. We had the Rangers and the Diamondbacks.
The Rangers made it in on the last day.
Yeah, it's baseball. And again, I'm not going to be surprised if we have a Tigers-Mets World Series now.
That's the way hockey used to be and still is in the Stanley Cup. Team mom Gina Korn, they're up from that area. She goes with Go Tigers this morning. In the mybookie.ag chat room, we'll flip over to a little football. Brownie starts us off first with a little betting lines at mybookie.ag. We had 3 games tonight. One really good one that we'll talk about later in the show. Coastal and James Madison, 2 4-1 teams that eventually at 6:30 on ESPN2 could be for the East Division Championship in the Sun Belt. So we'll talk about this game later on. MyBookie.ag, the line.
I ask you, the line for that game? You have got James Madison, a 9-point favorite at home.
Just lost to Brian Vincent.
They just lost to Brian Vincent in La Monroe.
That was the thing, and I know we'll get back into this game. The one thing I was going to bring up is Louisiana Monroe and Brian Vincent, what he's done with what was viewed as one of the worst programs coming into this season. He's 4-1, and maybe millions of dollars he cost James Madison last week.
Last week.
It's just amazing. UAB fans have got to be sitting there saying, damn, look what he's doing at Louisiana Monroe.
That is such revisionist history. Are you ready? All right, is Daniel Jones coming up tomorrow from Hydro Live?
Yeah.
Will you allow him to take a pint of blood and you put that on Kansas State? Are you ready to do that yet?
I'm getting there, Brown.
Okay, we're getting there. We're still not ready. Kansas State -4 at Colorado. I think Lance is going to do a blood bank guarantee on that one. You've still got Alabama favored 21 over South Carolina. The NFL game tonight, San Francisco on the road in Seattle. They are favored by 3.5 in that NFC West battle. You can play all those games at mybookie.ag. When you go there, use code NEXTROUND, and you make your initial deposit. They doubled that deposit with code NEXTROUND at mybookie.ag. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere. mybookie.ag, code NEXTROUND. mybookie.ag, code NEXTROUND. When they double that deposit, you use it once, you win with it once, it is yours and yours forever, not something you got to win 6, 7, 8, 9 times. mybookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. mybookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
And I got a question for you. What is better than a Milo's burger?
Nothing, Lance.
No, that's not true, Brown. 100 Milo's burgers, which can easily be done now through Milo's Catering. Catering options range from individualized box lunches, ideal for any work or team gathering, to customized build-your-own burger bar, which would be a hit at all tailgates. Special offer for the next round viewer and listener, $10 off first-time catering orders this fall. Enter Catering10, all caps, Catering10 when you order Milo's Catering through the Milo's mobile app. To learn more about Milo's catering options, please visit miloshamburgers.com/catering. That's miloshamburgers.com/catering. Stay saucy.
Huff, Huff, Pass, our favorite weeknight college football game. Huff, Huff, Pass. He did it last night. Tyler Huff for Jack State. 2 rushing touchdowns, and then the passing touchdown. 5 rushing touchdowns for the Gamecocks. Hard to believe without Diego Pavia and Jerry Kill that New Mexico State
fell off quick.
Won at Jordan-Hare last year and now falling off this bad. 54-13. Jack State's now won 3 in a row, Brownie.
Yeah, they are playing really good. Once they went to Huff, should be 4 in a row. They gave one away on the road at Eastern Michigan. Funny story. So Lance was playing this game at Lance's Lock, and he had Jacksonville State. We show up at Odie's last night. He's like, "I got you, Gamecocks." And I think the score at the time was like 21-6.
No, it was 16-6.
16-6. And Lance is like, God, they have got to get in the end zone. They've got to get in the end zone. And we're watching all the way across Odie's. Lance thought they were in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
No, I thought they were in the third quarter.
So they get into that quarter, and they're like, it's halftime. Lance goes, oh, my God, it's only halftime. I'm great.
And I thought you were about to brag on my eyes.
He did. He saw it all the way across. He could
like,
tell
Brett
me the
was
score.
like, I could tell him the time and everything, and he's like, how can you see that?
I know, Michael. It's laser vision, but he couldn't see that it was the third quarter.
Well,
they
blew up in the second quarter. They
did.
scored 26 in the second quarter. They walk them off the field, 530 total yards for Rich Rodriguez's offense. No turnovers. It's nice to see they're finally getting good quarterback play, though.
Yeah, it started out so bad to start the year. But to your point, Dunaway, once Huff took over, they have played a lot better. He's had four really good games in a row. Unfortunately, one of those was that bad overtime loss at Eastern Michigan.
So they're back on track with Rich Rod over there, 3-3 now with the big win last night. To the games tonight, we'll tell you our lineup, though. Josh Pate's in our next segment, so you'll hear from Late Kick Josh, who is off to Oregon, Eugene, this week to watch the big showdown between Ohio State and Oregon. Buster Olney to talk baseball playoffs with us at 10:30. Dan Orlovsky to talk NFL with us at 11:05. All those people coming up on the show. Tonight, Coastal and James Madison, MTSU at La Tech, and UTEP at Western Kentucky. The only meaningful game is Coastal and James Madison. In that game tonight, you'll be watching what?
So the Vasco kid for Tim Beck, Coastal Carolina's coach, that offense has really come on. And You would have thought before the James Madison loss, James Madison's probably a 17-point favorite. So this number has dropped a lot. I think James Madison, Bob Chesney, who took over this program, year one for him, Alonzo Barnett is the quarterback, not nearly as good as what you had with Jordan McLeod, but was really good early on. I just wonder if they're coming back to life a little bit. But I think Vasco is a guy that can move the ball on James Madison.
Yeah, James Madison, now they're 4-1, good win for ULM, but they lost several good players to Indiana when Coach Sig went there. So they did have some folks like Washington lost to Alabama, like Alabama lost to other schools. In a coaching change, some James Madison players moved on to IU, part of that IU start there.
Yeah,
so
and your
it's not
quarterback,
the same James Madison we saw the last couple of years.
Yeah, your quarterback Jordan McLeod goes to Texas State.
Right, who's having a good year. So interesting game tonight, Brownie, on Coastal and James Madison. Do you have a thought on that?
Well, I was just going to ask Lance, you referenced back to last week there in Monroe when Bryant Vincent's team won that game 21-19 and said it potentially cost them millions. I mean, James Madison's got that win at North Carolina, so they do at least have a Power 5 win. Yeah. You were referencing the fact that they were borderline in the playoff discussion.
If you had some cannibalism in the Mountain West, with UNLV maybe beating Boise, and then Boise loses another game, and, some back and forth there. I think James Madison, after putting a 70 spot on North Carolina, I think they got some national attention based on how good they were last year.
That was the crazy thing about the game last week against La Monroe, and I didn't watch one play of it. But they had scored 70 against North Carolina. They followed that up, Dunaway, with a home win over Ball State where they won 63-7. So they had scored 70, 63, and then La Monroe beats them 21-19. 70, 63, 19 on the road.
Took the air out of the tires.
Yeah, they did.
So that's football tonight and the NFL matchup in just a second after LT tells us about that eyesight that lets him see all the way across Odie's. It's our friends at Michelson Laser Vision.
Yeah, Odie's got a good little setup in there, but one of their TVs is kind of the old TV across all the way in the back from the stage. And I don't know, what do you think? It's 32 maybe, Brown?
Yeah, 32-inch, 40 feet away from us? 50 feet away from us?
Probably 40 yards away from us.
I don't know if it's that much.
And able to pick up the scroll there. 205-969-8100. Make the phone call that I made. If you wear the contacts, you wear the glasses, you're wasting money each and every year. I had the 2200 vision. I was legally blind without the aid of contacts. Now 2015 vision better than 2020. 205-969-8100. Ask for Amy. She's going to hook you up with a hassle-free consultation. $0 to lose to find out if LASIK is right for you. Dr. Mark Michelson, Dr. Jen Michelson, best in the business. For more information, MichelsonLaserVision.com.
And as always, we ask you to give us a thumbs up if you're watching us right now on YouTube and subscribe there, as we ask you to do everywhere. But on the podcast situation, if you'll download, rate, and comment there, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, so you don't miss everything. It loads up every hour of the show, any other outside podcasts we get, audio form there for you to listen to on a run or riding down the road. It loads automatically for you every day. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, download, rate, and comment. Tonight, pretty big game for both teams, San Francisco and Seattle. Seattle started off great. They've fallen off a bit. The 49ers have been beat up, and they come into this game 2-3, 7:15 on Amazon tonight. Pretty good NFC Western Division showdown.
It is. In San Francisco, it looked like for a minute they were going to just run away with the game against Arizona, and Arizona just hung around, and they ended up knocking off San Francisco. And San Francisco just seems like they're in a tailspin right now, and a lot of this is injury. When Christian McCaffrey just hasn't been healthy, Brock Purdy has not played great. The 49ers have won 11 of their last 12 against Seattle. They're a slight favorite on the road here. I think it should be a hell of a game.
Should be, and that is, look, we're in the NFL, so almost all the divisions are really, really tight right now this early in the season. Your Rams are 1-4. You're not out of it 100%, but boy, Arizona and San Francisco right there behind Seattle. This be a critical division win, even this early in the season. You can say that. A critical division win for either one of these teams.
Yeah, and the quarterback that is playing better in this game is Geno Smith. Yeah. And Ryan Grubb, he's still learning this offense, so that offense is still evolving.
For those that don't remember who Ryan Grubb is,
Ryan Grubb was the offensive coordinator under Kalen DeBoer at Washington, and he was the offensive coordinator that was supposed to come with Kalen DeBoer. And then Mike McDonald gets a Seattle job. They want to keep Ryan Grubb in Seattle. He stays there. And I think he's impressed a lot of NFL people.
He actually came for a little bit. He was in Tuscaloosa.
You did an event with him.
Yeah, on signing day, he was there. I'm Ryan Grubb. I'm your offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
at the time.
Yep.
He didn't lie. The alarming thing for Seattle, though, Lance, is they started out McDonald is a offensive coach or defensive coach.
Right.
Could not have screwed the start of this up
Mike
any worse.
McDaniel.
Not have screwed this up any worse.
Remember that later for Grace.
Yes, Grace. I got another thing for Grace, too. But the last two games, they gave up 42 on the road to the Lions and gave up 29 at home to the Giants. I mean, that's alarming.
Yeah, it is.
That is alarming for
Yeah, I
Seattle's
mean,
defense.
Detroit, one thing, because Detroit does have
and
one
you're
of
on the
these
road.
dynamic offenses.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the New York Giants
At
losing
home.
that game at home is bad.
That's what we saw last night and what's happening tonight. We'll talk about the big weekend in college football with several marquee games, including the big one on the West Coast with our buddy Josh Pate, Late Kick Josh. He'll join us on the other side in the show that's brought to you today by our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. UrologyCentersAlabama.com, 35 urologists, 16 locations, one near you. Call that number, 205-930-0920 to find a location near you, or go to UrologyCentersAlabama.com. Treating all your urological needs from prostate health to kidney stones, vasectomies, and everything else. Visit UrologyCentersAlabama.com to schedule an appointment today with our friends at UCA.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter at scottforestertv.
Bright Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by, ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
Hey, you. Feel that? That's fall in the air. And New Balance Birmingham got your fresh fall pair. To kick it during game time and sport from the sideline. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280 right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short notice mortgage expert because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, equal housing lender.
Hang out with The Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out The Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
Ryan Brown here for the next round. Join me and CBS sports analyst Brandon Marcello for the Middle Eight each Monday at 8 a.m. as we look back at the weekend of college football from the SEC to the top 25 of the college football playoff. It's the Middle Eight, presented by MyBookie.ag, code next round.
Don't forget great content for your favorite teams. Alabama and Auburn right now available for you. CoverCrimson.com, CoverCrimson.com. Clint Lamb, Nick Gillespie, Aaron Suttles, Mike Johnson, Jake Coker, Chris Stewart, Stacy Blackwood, all over there at CoverCrimson.com. Live shows every day. Kyle Rush, Zach Blackerby, Brad Law and company over at thebarnauburn.com, thebarnauburn.com. Sign up now for just $1 and get tons of incredible insight and content. Also, subscribe to their channels on YouTube as well. Show being brought to you in part as well by our friends at CPAP Plus LT, giving you that comfortable night's sleep.
Yeah, if you're looking for the best CPAP gear with personal service you can trust, visit CPAP Plus. You can Google CPAP Plus or just stop in to one of those 3 convenient locations, Pelham, Highway 280, Trustful. They've got something special for the next round viewer and listener, $20 credit towards the purchase of a new mask, CPAP cleaner, or even a travel CPAP machine. All you got to do is make sure you mention the next round to the O'Neill brothers and that great staff at CPAP Plus. Stop by today where you're going to find the best service and equipment all in stock, ready for you with hundreds of 5-star Google reviews. Trust CPAP Plus for all of your CPAP needs. CPAP Plus, where every night matters.
Josh Pate is the host of Josh Pate's College Football Show. You see it every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Go follow him on YouTube. Follow him on social media at Josh Pate CFB. He's on his way to Eugene. I did not realize he was driving. We have caught him in the car. That is a long drive from Nashville to Eugene, Oregon. But that's what Josh Pate does for the love of college football. What is up, Pate? How are you today?
It's a somewhat shorter drive to Nashville International Airport, but the rest of it stands. I am serving the college football community as best I know how.
Yeah, I would recommend the flight over the drive. I've never been to Eugene, but I'm going to recommend the flight over the drive without knowing that.
Yeah. You know, fall foliage season popping in the Pacific Northwest. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s, low humidity. That means drier air, further visibility. So they're going to have a bunch of recruits on campus this weekend, and it could be the best recruiting weekend ever for Oregon because you still get the early season, hey, it's warm here all the time, beautiful skies, there's no rain, and you get Ohio State in town. And so I don't know that there's a better poster board for college football this weekend.
Before we get into this weekend, excited about that and very jealous that you're going to Austin. I think we all want to go, and we've heard the experience is incredible. Let's go back, though, right there, the city you're in last weekend. As a guy that does this for a living and a guy that is right there in the heart of the SEC, is this – because, you know, I hated to define it as Alabama's worst loss in their history. To me, I think it was the most surprising loss. Like on your surprise scale of just quality ranked football teams over the last 20, 25 years, I mean, where does this fall in? Oh, my God, this is shocking.
It was up there with the top. I don't know off the top of my head that I remember anything. I know a lot of folks this week have brought up the UL Monroe comparison for 50 million different reasons. That's like apples to bowling balls for again, so many different reasons. So this stunned me more. I don't know that I'd call it a worse loss than that. I don't even know how to quantify that. I would just say this stunned me more than that loss that year. But I will say, I don't know if you guys have, I guarantee you have noticed this. You've probably heard all week. You heard all Saturday evening after the game. People praise Pavia and praise Clark Lee and what an improved Vanderbilt program this is. Well, it's so funny. I was listening to people say that, and I agree with them. And then in the very next sentence, they say, but we might need to burn it all down in Tuscaloosa. This is humiliating. This is emasculating. This is terrible. It's what happened is, you probably lost to a team you have no business losing to that could also be, dare I say, a smidge better than the public, including me, thought they were. But I am right now, the reason I'm looking out of my window is not nervous energy. I'm 2 blocks away from Broadway right now. I'm in a nondescript parking garage for safety reasons. I could have seen that goalpost taken down Broadway from my office window, and instead I was 700 miles away on a tarmac at Bush Intercontinental in Houston, and I just seen A&M Body Bag, Missouri, and I just thought to myself, you seriously spent 3 days out here, which were good days, when you could have just walked to the upset of the weekend. And I intentionally ignored Ryan Brown's text until today because I thought by Thursday, if I come on the show, the toxicity will have cleared and I don't have to talk about this.
Sorry.
But apparently I'm going to be sucked in. So what Klatt said, they're a glorified Big 12 team. I heard, Legend quits Alabama football altogether. And here I am trying to tell you, maybe Vanderbilt's not so bad. So we've run the full gamut of emotion on the Alabama-Vanderbilt game.
Yeah. I want to take a play out of LT's gambling Bible here. I bet first half, give the points wherever Josh Pate goes this week. So I'm taking Oregon home. First half, whatever the line is, for all my money. His last 2 trips have been Alabama at home against Georgia and A&M at home. It's been blowout city in the first half.
That's a trend.
Pate brings blowouts in the first half.
And we saw Texas run it up as the road team. We saw Miami against Florida run it up as the road team. The only close one, it pains me to say it, the only close one we saw was LSU, South Carolina. And so who knows? I would tell you, I don't see Ohio State or Oregon blowing each other out this weekend. But as you just pointed out, Dunaway, even in the games that don't end up being blowouts, they're blowouts in the first half somehow.
You know, a storyline nobody's talking about really in this game, or I haven't heard it talked about enough, is, Oregon seems to be a little bit off. We have talked about that. They've had some 3 red zone turnovers from Dylan Gabriel in the last 2 weeks. But Ohio State, they finally flexed in the second half against Iowa. I don't know how much they've shown. And Chip Kelly calling these plays now, going back to Eugene with all of those weapons. Do you think there's any way Chip Kelly and this offense have been sandbagging and they've had this game circled and we are going to see wrinkles that nobody has seen this entire year?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that. If you get caught off guard by that, that's on you if you're Oregon. Sark said the same thing about Venables and Oklahoma, and they have played teams this year. He said, we have to be ready for what they haven't put on film. Well, that times 10 in this game for Oregon with Ohio State coming to town. That's why I also hesitate, if people want to talk about how they've been sort of sleepwalking in first halves of games. Well, I don't know if you guys have played Akron or Western Michigan before, but you can kind of afford to do that if you're Ohio State. And it doesn't matter how much you preach nameless, faceless opponent, next game, biggest game. Everyone knows what those games are. They're tune-up games. And even to that extent, Michigan State and Iowa did not have the offensive athletes to be able to hang with them, even if they did a halfway decent job defensively. So, yes, they haven't incorporated the tight ends in the passing game. There haven't been many designed runs for Will Howard at quarterback position. There's so much. Everyone knows, there's so much more. They've got depth and versatility at the receiver position. So, on one hand, yes, that stresses Oregon a lot more. But then the counter to that is, I think most of us who have watched Ohio State, including their own fans, would say if there was going to be a weakness on this team, it was going to be offensive line. Offensive lines look good so far. Offensive line now gets thrown into the biggest blender it's been thrown in so far this year against a deeper, talented, more multiple front in Oregon. For the record, they'll also do that again in a couple of weeks in State College against Penn State. So we've learned about Alabama. We've learned about Georgia. 2 of them we hadn't learned about yet, Texas and Ohio State. And especially Ohio State really gets pressure put against that dam this weekend. So I imagine there are going to be some cracks somewhere. I really don't know once we get to the end of October if we will call ourselves having an elite team in college football. We got to see them tested, and that starts this weekend for Ohio State.
You're beloved by a number of people, including coaching staffs everywhere. What are you hearing about? It seems like I described it as Oregon. It's like one spark plug just isn't firing in their engine. It just seems to be just a beat off. What are you hearing about that Oregon offense, and do you think that it will kick in this weekend?
Yeah, they believe that is all predicated on having their offensive line healthy. They look at I look at the second half against Michigan State last week. Started to kick it in gear a little bit. Still had turnovers in the red zone, though. In a weird way, I'd be kind of glad that happened against Michigan State if it has to happen, because then I get to emphasize it and get guys' attention in advance of facing the best defense we'll probably play all year in Ohio State. But that offensive line's been everything for them. And, they lost the right tackle earlier in the season, so they get healthy now. And the second he went down, I hit him up and said, what's the situation here? And they kind of circled conference play. We think we'll get him back for conference play. And that was the kind of situation where right tackle goes out, but then you mix and match and guys move all around. So it wasn't just a plug and play, let's put our 2 in. Having said that, Okay, so you just beat Michigan State. That's wonderful. We could say the same thing about either team. This is kind of the what have they done, who have they played bowl, to which I always counter, well, that alone is not evidence that a team is suspect. Like if you're Usain Bolt and you go enter a middle school field day competition and you smoke all the little middle schoolers, it would be dumb for me to look at Usain Bolt and say, well, he's not good because he hasn't raced anyone. Well, that's true. He didn't race anyone. He's also a world-class sprinter, the likes of which we've never seen. He's like an alien. Ohio State could be that. I don't think Oregon has looked like that yet, but Oregon, kind of like Texas A&M, is the kind of team that started out slow, but you know they've got a top 10 talent roster. Even A&M has about a top 10, top 12 talent roster. So you always reserve in your mind, at least I do, the ability or the possibility that they're kind of like a rubber band that's been pulled back, just haven't been let go yet. If they get let go, there is like extreme upward mobility potential. With A&M, we saw it last week against Missouri. With Oregon, maybe we see it this weekend.
I want to ask you more about A&M. Josh Pate is with us. Josh Pate College Football Show right there on YouTube. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. Do what we ask you to do for us. Give it a thumbs up. Set your alerts so you know when he's live. Follow him on Twitter at Josh Pate CFB. He's on his way to Eugene, Oregon for that big Ohio State-Oregon game. You just saw A&M, though, in their finest moment so far under Mike Elko, just blowing the doors off Missouri. This guy to my left said all summer that A&M-Texas game will have playoff implications for both teams, not just A&M ruining it for Texas. It will have implications for both teams. He baited me into that, and then I watched him lose I watched him lose to Notre Dame, and then I'm like, oh, Lance's such an idiot. What's he thinking? I'm back now. I'm back. I've looked at the rest of their schedule. He's going to be right, I think. When you left that game, do you feel like we get to the end of the year and A&M's got a shot at the playoffs against Texas?
Yeah, I do. I wish I could say no. I mean, I love a good disagreement with Lance, but it's not happening here.
You would rather have the venom and everything going on in that game, a game we hadn't seen since 2011.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine what the ticket price is going to be on that thing.
Make it as big as possible. We haven't seen it in too long.
I think that at the beginning of the year, I came on this program, actually. Remember, we were talking about some of the things you were most looking forward to, and everyone had their take. And one of mine was, I don't think it's occurred to the general public yet that Texas versus Texas A&M is back. They knew it was on the schedule, but like we were just talking about, there are 19-year-old kids or whatever that do not understand a fraction of the vitriol that goes into that rivalry. Remember when Texas went back to Arkansas a couple of seasons ago, and how completely rabid and like out of its mind that place was? Well, that's Kyle Field times like 5 when Texas goes in there this year. So that was going to be the case anyway. It's just that maybe we started to think, okay, it's going to be a case where A&M builds that up as their Super Bowl because there's not much left to play for in terms of postseason. If you throw postseason implication in that mix, you keep the same intensity of the rivalry. You just get the entire nation's focus on that rivalry. And then start to think about this. Do we think the Iron Bowl is going to be a nationally relevant Iron Bowl that weekend? I'm not sure it will be. Ohio State and Michigan. We could see Ohio State favored by between 2 and 3 touchdowns. USC Notre Dame. Notre Dame is on the press, or USC's on the precipice of suffering their 3rd loss this weekend. They're a dog at home. So you start to think about that rivalry weekend and the games that could have the spotlight, and all of a sudden this A&M Texas game is like it's right there. Like once Wigman started throwing the ball the way he was, I went from the field to the press box because you got to get the halftime hot dog. So I go up there and it's already a blowout. So the 3rd quarter I stayed up there and I was kind of walking around talking to some folks, and the number one topic of conversation in the press box at Texas A&M was the Texas game. Yeah. Like that they were already looking ahead because they figure, oh, we can throw the ball. Oh, well, we can beat anyone on our schedule. And they're right. They can. And I was in that facility Friday. Not only were they pretty convinced Wigman was going to go, which I don't think the opposition was convinced of, by the way, but also there is that kind of this bottled up intensity that team has about him, because there's been a lot floated around about him personally, not in terms of his on-field work. And I kind of think it was like shaking up a Coke and then they twisted the cap on it against Missouri. Now, the follow-up is you go into the bye week. Okay, how do you come out of it? It's the same question I have about LSU this weekend. You went into the bye. How do you come out of it?
Yeah. For Texas A&M, they get to come out of it with Mississippi State, so that's a good ease back into reality. We are a corn dog league. We've let these corny dog folks in Texas and Oklahoma this weekend out at the State Fair. Longhorns look like the best team in the country. They're number one. How does Venables scheme up to win this game? Do they have enough offense to win this game, Josh?
I don't think they do. I mean, if you were to judge this game on paper or on what you've seen so far from both those teams, this should be a double-digit win for Texas. So then there's the great big inhale, because we know what the follow-up. The follow-up is, but this is college football. So fresh off the heels of the upsets we saw last weekend, I mean, how terrifying is it to say a team should be winning by double digits in a rivalry game? Like I said, Sark earlier this week kind of put it best. He said, we've got to be ready for what they haven't put on film. And if Texas gets off to a 10 or 14-0 lead, I don't really care what they haven't put on film, because at that point you can sit on the ball. OU's probably not catching up. Having said that, last year I was at this game. Turnovers end up costing Quinn Ewers in Texas, and it was Dylan Gabriel at that point that ends up winning, I think, a 34-30 game, and OU was the underdog that day, not by 14.5, but they were the underdog. You just have to drag this game into quicksand. It's the same way that you started to feel about the Bama-Vanderbilt game past weekend. Bama's favored big, but you can feel a game starting to be pulled into the quicksand. Now, even in the second half, you got to have some things go your way, but the difference is the talent profile of this OU team is 3 straight top 10 recruiting classes. So they're not good at quarterback. That's why we discount them. Their offensive line's got to play the game of the year. That's why we discount them. But if it's going to happen, it would happen in a weekend like this. I have my doubts, but I have my doubts that all that stuff could happen last weekend, and it happened. So forgive me if I just go ahead and tune in anyway.
I said this multiple times last week. I didn't think we were talking about Missouri A&M enough. I thought that was the game that had playoff implications, maybe an elimination game, maybe whoever won that game, the probability really jumped up to go to a college football playoff. And I know in the offseason, Ohio State, Oregon was the game everybody was talking about, but they were also talking about Ole Miss, LSU. Ole Miss will first get challenged when they go to Baton Rouge. We're going to know more about these teams. Now nobody's talking about this game. It's only the second time in 60 years both of these teams have been ranked in the top 15 when they're facing each other, and I believe this is an elimination game.
I think it could be the game of the weekend, too. So let me preface this by saying I think LSU is going to win the game outright. It was the biggest situational mismatch of the preseason. In July, like we did a segment on this game on our show, which is really weird because it was multiple months away. It's almost, I don't know if I would call it like a dereliction of duty in the league office to make a schedule like this, but if you just talk this out, LSU has not left home in a month. They're coming off a bye. They played a G5 team before they went into the bye. You could not be more rested and prepared. This is Ole Miss's 7th consecutive game. They are playing their second leg of a back-to-back road stretch, which is rare anyway in college football. And then they go on the road, and now we don't know if Trey Harris is going to play. Now, no one knew that in the preseason, but that's just added on. And Trey Harris has more production than I think the next 3 receivers on that team combined. So I think it sets up horrifically for Ole Miss. I know they're favored, and this is so stupid to say. I'm going to be mildly surprised if they find a way to go in there and win it. I just flat out think the wrong team's favored. I took LSU on the money line. I think LSU is going to win the game.
Josh Pate with his play of the weekend. You get the rest of the season free if he misses this one. Josh Pate, CFB, is Josh Pate's college football show. See him all over social media from Eugene. See his show Sunday night on YouTube. Josh Pate's college football show on YouTube.
Underrated Friday night Instagram Live, though.
Okay.
I've tuned in 4 straight weeks trying to get my question for a pick in. He has so many questions firing at him. He's yet to notice celebrities in his chat. So.
Dunaway, why don't you just text me yours ahead of time? Because you have the hotline.
Hey, self-proclaimed celebrity there. You missed that.
No, I mean, I see other celebrities in there.
If he texts you and you read it, he can't complain that you don't read it. So that's why he doesn't text you.
I want it to happen organically, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I understand.
All right, go give his YouTube shows a thumbs up. Subscribe, set your alerts. Thank you, Pate. Safe travels, buddy.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, we'll see Josh Pate with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
At least he just doesn't take your take and use it as his own.
That's true.
It happens
occasionally.
Never my take. It's other people's take because we know if you watch the show, I'm not smart enough to have a good take. Our show is brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill. They bring you Lance's Lock every day. I mean, baseball, hockey's playing. You know, he occasionally gets into that. College football, NFL tonight. Lance'sLock.com brought to you by Hemp Hill.
Yeah, we've got a college football side. We've got the NFL
NFL side. We've got one side in Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball has hurt us the last couple of days. It has been amazing how the lack of run support Lance's locks have gotten. Got to get that going a little bit. But we do have winners up for you today, coming off that easy winner last night with Jacksonville State. Jump on board and win with us. It is always brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill Services. Trust the name. Birmingham has trusted since 1954 for all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs. If you have any of these issues at your home or business, call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there, 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
A little bit more on that LSU and Ole Miss game down in Baton Rouge.
Not talking about it enough, though, are we?
We are not. As what now?
I said, I'm like the nation is not talking about that game.
They're not, because you have the Red River and the Ohio State-Oregon game that we've been waiting for all summer long. But we'll talk more about it. Let me do Storm Restoration Roofing first. StormRestorationRoofing.com, great website you can go to. Or you can call up Greg from Pell City, 205-542-3531, 542-3531. You get that free quote or a free evaluation, or both. A quote if you need it, free evaluation before anything happens. But when the unexpected happens, it's good to have that peace of mind of having Greg from Pell City on your side. A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau. Central Alabama's most trusted name, because you've heard him here with us for years, and you can just get in the chat room and ask people about Greg from Pell City. Insurance companies trust him. He does restoration. He does inspections. He does storm damage. He does roof replacements. It's all right there. 205-542-3531. Greg from Pell City on Facebook for that free evaluation. To that game, if I asked you more pressure on Ole Miss or LSU?
It's a great question, Jim, because we're in year 3 for Brian Kelly. Year 1 could only have been qualified as a success.
Okay, let's extend the question a little bit. Who's at their job longer, Brian Kelly or Lincoln Riley?
First down. Lincoln Riley?
Yeah.
Well, which one do you want me to answer first?
Let's go to LSU Ole Miss first. Yeah.
So Brian Kelly's in year 3. Year 1 had only been described as a success. Year 2, you have a Heisman Trophy winner and you get nothing out of it except for a Heisman Trophy, which is great. But as a team, you get nothing out of it. You have a historically bad defense. This is year 3 for Brian Kelly, where if I'm an LSU fan, Lance, what I'm paying Brian Kelly, what I hired him to do, year 3 is ample time for him to have done it. And that is make the college football playoff.
Yeah, look, I mean, It is an interesting question, because I think there is so much pressure on both. Now, I'll say this. If Ole Miss absorbs a second loss, I don't think there's any way they get into a college football playoff. I think LSU could still lose this game, depending on what USC does. It's going to be really difficult. Yeah. More than likely, the loser is out. Year 1, they win 11 games. They play for the SEC championship. Year 2, he's got a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. It hasn't been disaster, but it hasn't been good enough. Yeah. I'd lean with Pate. I think that LSU wins this game, and I actually think it's more of a disaster for Lane Kiffin, because Lane Kiffin has never done anything as a head coach. Brian Kelly's been to multiple college football playoffs. He's played for a national championship. He's won championships at a smaller division.
And the stat you always give us about Lane Kiffin, who he's beaten, this falls into the ledger of this was a game that Lane Kiffin really doesn't have on his resume, right?
Well, this is would be a top 15 win for him. I think it really gets tricky in top 10s. I need to pull those numbers again. But yes, he doesn't win important games, and this is obviously a very important game.
If I'm an Ole Miss fan, again, I'm paying Lane Kiffin top 10 money. And I know just paying you top 10 money, you can't buy championships, right? But if I'm going to pay you top 10 money, and you've had plenty of time to get your players and system in, which nobody would argue Lane Kiffin hasn't.
No.
You can't make that argument. I expect to be in the college football playoff. And we don't even have temperatures regularly in the 70s, and I've already got 2 losses. And I've still got Georgia on my schedule.
And here's a bigger problem. Like, let's just say that A&M does go to a college football playoff. If I'm an Ole Miss fan or I'm an LSU fan and I'm sitting at home and Mike Elko gets A&M in his first year to a college football playoff in the same conference,
I know,
with an out-of-conference game and a loss against Notre Dame, it's baffling.
No, it is baffling. So my answer to your first question, Jim, is I don't know. I don't know who's under the most pressure. I think they're under equal pressure. I think this is such a massive game for both schools.
I don't know how you guys roll at home. I still, in a dream scenario, I never remember the place. I think it was Damon's Ribs.
The little
that had the box where you could switch the audio with just a knob.
Floribama has them now.
Really?
Over at the Old River Grill.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Right. Yeah. So I love that setup. I want that at my house where I can just flick from TV 1, 2, 3 with the audio. That's my biggest change. I can have any game I want up, enough TVs and quad boxes. I just want the easy access on switching the audio. If I ask you audio up, is it audio up on Ole Miss LSU or Ohio State Oregon?
Just depends.
Yeah, it's probably going to start Ohio State Oregon for me, and then I'll see how it plays out.
Is Ole Miss LSU, is that Herb Street and Fowler? Do you know?
That is the primetime game. I do believe that's the one they're doing.
Yeah. Game day's where this week?
It is not.
Is it Red River? No, I think they'll do Red River.
Yeah. So wait. So who would be on NBC's coverage?
That's Blackledge and
they're not in Eugene?
Who?
Game day.
I don't think so. I think they're at Red River. Am I wrong about that?
I don't know. I did not pay attention this week.
Yeah, I would have thought they would have been in Eugene for sure. And then I would have thought that they probably do. I would think that Herb Street and Fowler are on Ole Miss LSU.
But you're right. First SEC Red River, and they're the SEC, basically the SEC network now.
Yeah.
I know Marty and them are down in Dallas.
Yeah.
For the SEC Nation.
But to answer your question, it's Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge who do that primetime NBC game.
Yeah, I would much rather listen to Herb Street and Fowler.
Oh, really? You don't like Blackledge? I love Todd Blackledge.
I don't.
Nice guy.
Yeah,
nice
Noah's the one that he's got to do the Final Four in basketball, right?
No, that's his dad.
Was
that's
it?
Ian Eagle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's his dad.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right. Ian during one TV. Now you don't judge anybody by 30 seconds of their life, but
go ahead and say
but the Alabama Final Four game, when I was sitting in the good seat that Taylor had for the national championship game right behind them, he turned after the TV set up where they have the lights on, they're sitting on the stools, and they're doing their pregame, and the lights went off, and he sort of wore somebody out for about 30 seconds behind the camera, and I was like, wow.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, you're not Jim Nessler.
They have to be in Eugene.
Jim Nance.
Brad Nessler.
They are in Eugene.
Because they would get killed for
just doing an SEC game.
Yeah. Like, why would you not be at the game of the year?
They're in Eugene.
They are in Eugene.
Yeah.
So back and forth, they went to Berkeley and then back to Eugene.
Yeah.
Saban's loving that.
All that travel. Which tells me that's probably Herb Street Fowler on Ole Miss LSU then. I don't think they can make the 2:30 game in time. Yeah. So I think you get a little Herb Street Fowler there.
Yeah, well, at some point, Herb Street will put his flight plan up. Because tonight, he's already done it. Because tonight he's in, he's on the West Coast. He's in Seattle, so it's easy for him.
Oh, good for him. Yeah, just stay out there.
So he's Seattle down to Eugene. He's a 4-hour train ride.
Yeah.
Or a car ride with Jace. We'll get back to the Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley question on the other side, because I do want to ask LT about that, because those two are sort of tied together forever. Because that was the same year, right, where Brian Kelly left Notre Dame for LSU and Lincoln left Oklahoma for USC.
One of the biggest coaching changeovers we've ever seen.
Yeah, and everybody thought those were going to be big things happening there. Show being brought to you by our friends at HydroLive. They'll be up here tomorrow. You can see what a home appearance by HydroLive can be. They come to your office. They can come to your home as well.
Yeah, that is the great thing. Like, if you can't get out, you just want them to come to the office, get you all hydrated for the weekend, they can do that. They can come to your home. You can schedule an appointment at hydrolifetherapy.com. Walk-ins are welcome. Very important when you're in one of the great locations of HydroLife Therapy. Mention the next round. You're going to get 20% off all the great services: IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, compression therapy, and now weight loss therapy. Discover a personalized approach that works with HydroLife Therapy's weight loss therapy. HydroLife combines hydration therapy with targeted weight loss treatments. They provide a comprehensive approach to weight management. 2 locations in Birmingham, Homewood, Highway 119, also Tuscaloosa. HydroLife Therapy open daily 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Again, very important. You mentioned the next round.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Hey, you feel that? That's fall in the air. And New Balance Birmingham got your fresh fall pair to kick it during game time and sport from the sideline. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280 right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
Things fall apart. There's even a book about it, but that doesn't mean you have to break the bank to fix them. Ryan Brown here for the next round. Our friends at Mortgage Right have a new renovation option that will make repairs and other home improvements easy. If you've recently purchased a home and find yourself short on cash, or you're looking to buy a fixer-upper, Mortgage Right's renovation loan program can help you spruce up your space. Repairs can be made to your roof, plumbing, flooring, and more with the help of top-notch mortgage professionals. So get your fix by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR. And MLS 2239 Equal Housing Lender.
Happy football season. At the Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Hey, for all of your IT and printing needs, reach out to our friends at Xerox Business Solutions. Look, I'm still one of those old school guys. I print my notes every single day for the show. If you watch the show here on the Next Round, you see all the notes in front of me. From day one, Xerox Business Solutions, they've been with us here at the Next Round. Local for over 45 years. For all of your IT and printing needs, visit XeroxBusinessSolutions.com or call 205-969-3000. That's 205-969-3000.
Our friends at Milo's Hamburger invites you to join them in the fight against hunger in our local communities by bringing non-perishable food items to your local Milo's, including canned goods. When you donate a canned good or any non-perishable food item, Milo's will give you a free drink. Together, we can make a difference.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
You could win a Cadillac CT5 or your share of $25,000 in free play and cash at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. Play the latest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. You can be a winner too. Come win your share during the Cadillac CT5 and $25,000 giveaway at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Drawings April 5th and 6th. Located off I-459, exit 31, Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older. Must be present to win.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios. The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Okay, we're going to do a little college football here to start this segment, and then Tyler's going to give us 4 downs, and then we're going to come back to college football all in this segment, and then baseball with Buster Olney coming up at 10:32 in this hour. LTD&B, Tyler and Forrester in the back room there. Taylor, Korn, EG, handling everything social media at Next Round Live. At Next Round Live, give us a thumbs up and subscribe wherever you're watching us, especially at thumbs up on YouTube. And don't forget to set your podcast to download automatically Next Round Live right there at Apple and on Spotify. We appreciate you guys so much. We're about to hear from Kalen DeBoer and Maurice Linquist from Alabama's news conference and Hey Coaches show yesterday. Some Alabama conversation as South Carolina comes to town in just a second. But first, LT, start us off by New York Butcher. You were going for a record 6th straight day yesterday. You'd gone 5. Did you make it for 6?
I did not. Our buddy Michael Spisto was over, and I meant to go on with the brisket I had left. I've still got a pan of it. I was just going to give it to Spisto, and he bolted out before. So tonight I might circle back to the brisket. But look, it doesn't matter what you pick up there from the steaks, the smash burgers, meatloaf that I've talked about, the incredible sides. I know Brown is working on some pork chops for this weekend.
Yes, sir. Cannot wait.
And you told Jim, hey, look, just tell me the sides that we'll work with it. And that's the thing, man. These guys, they know their brands. They know great pairings. So stop into one of those two locations, the original at Caba Heights, Highway 119 in Greystone, with a fine selection of wines and desserts. New York Butcher Shop, one-stop dinner shop, rare quality, well-done service. It's the New York Butcher Shop.
Hey, Coach, is every Wednesday night over at Baumhauer's in Tuscaloosa, Crimson Tide Sports Network. On your screen, you'll see Chris Stewart, Jeremy Bernard, and then Kalen DeBoer. Coach DeBoer talking last night about after a loss, you know, how it relates to his coaching staff and how he has to coach the team up this week.
I understand the dynamics and, you know, not just one day or a whole week or even a whole season, or for many people holding on to every game for the rest of their life. But for us, if we do that, you know, we'd end up with Vanderbilt beating us twice. We have to move on, and we call it the 24-hour rule, and we have to. There's no other way around it, and we have to keep moving forward, stay positive, and, you know, focus on what we can control moving ahead.
It didn't seem like the 24-hour rule was stringently enforced after the Georgia game.
It did not.
And that makes you wonder if now you're having to enforce it after the Vanderbilt game, because it wasn't abided by as it should have been after the Georgia game. I mean, did you feel like?
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I've heard this from a lot of coaches. I had never heard it from Kalen DeBoer before now.
The 24-hour rule?
Yeah.
It's a Saban holdover. I'd never heard him say it until just then.
Yeah. Look, and I mean, realistically, I mean, it's a nice philosophy. You can't really control 20, 21-year-old kids.
You can't control 55-year-old kids. You know, I mean,
yeah. I mean, I'm still. You know what's so funny is and you guys probably had these conversations, and I had one with our man Sterling this morning. I said, "Where were you for Vanderbilt, Alabama?" And it's so funny because I've had 3 or 4 different people. It's same scenarios. He was like, "I was at this function, checking the score, and at halftime, I told my wife, I've got to go home and watch this game."
Yeah.
Like there were so many people that it was kind of a second thought. I was talking to my urologist. This makes me sound really old.
You
He's
were
just
talking
a buddy
to
of mine.
urologist?
We had a conversation a couple of days ago, and he was on some retreat, and he didn't have cell service, and he was like, I was never worried about the game. I found out Sunday morning. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, that hurts. But I'm just saying that there are 55-year-old men right now that are still like mourning last Saturday.
100%. And you know, I've brought up 1980, Alabama losing to Mississippi State a couple of times in Jackson, 6-3 since its loss.
But that was a death sentence, wasn't it, in 1980?
Yeah, I mean, you got no, you don't bounce back from a late loss in the 80s.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they ended up losing one more game, but they were back-to-back national champions, the nation's longest win streak, all that. I think it was the longest win streak in Alabama football history. But don't quote me on that. But I remember in that game, it was radio only, but I didn't even listen to the game on radio until, you know, somebody came down the street where we were playing Nerf football and said, hey, Alabama's losing. It's in the fourth quarter. And then I went to listen to it on radio because they were just playing Mississippi State. And I was like, I'd rather go play down at David Jones's house, little 3-on-3 Nerf football, than sit and listen to the radio and watch some crappy game, the only one game we had on TV that day on ABC. And I can only imagine, you know, all season long, hey, we got to go to the pumpkin patch one Saturday to take the kids. Which one you want it to be?
I do the Vandy.
The Alabama Vandy. I
was at, you know, my buddy Heath was over.
As long as I'm home for the primetime games.
Heath's a massive Bama fan, and him and his wife are sitting there, and it's 7-0 Vanderbilt. And I was like, you know, he's one of those guys that awesome guy, but like messing with him a little bit just because he gets riled up. Hey, you worried about this game? Laughs, and then 2 plays later, it's pick 6.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was like, I think it just got real. Like, I still think Alabama wins this game, probably wins by double digits.
But it was 14-0.
Probably want to focus now.
Yeah. No, I mean, after the pick 6, they missed the extra point. It was 13-0. I remember thinking, Vanderbilt's going to regret that. You got to have every point you can get in this situation.
I said that to myself, watching by myself, and then I thought, it's going to end up being like 52-13.
I thought the same exact thing, Jim. I was like, oh, yeah, that's the first crack for Vanderbilt. You know, everything's going just right for them. I was asked this morning. I was on Mike Grace's show. Our friend Mike Grace, Bart Heitch, Colin Lacey.
The press box,
do a nice job. And I was asked this morning, was it the most surprising loss in your lifetime for Alabama football? Because there's this discussion of worst loss, surprising loss. Those are two different things to me. And the way I answered it, I don't know if you guys would agree, because what made me think of this, you brought up the John Bond, Mississippi State loss. So for a generation of Alabama fans, that was probably the most surprising loss. You're like, how on earth did that team lose to State?
And didn't score a touchdown. 6-3.
Yeah, didn't score a touchdown.
John Bond never bought another drink.
Yeah. And my answer to them was, I have seen surprising Alabama losses in this aspect. Like 1987, Alabama went to Memphis and lost to Memphis State in the Liberty Bowl, in the stadium, not the actual Liberty Bowl game, but road game for Alabama. I remember a random, I think it was a DeBose era. I'm almost certain it was a DeBose era. 21-0 loss in Legion Field to Southern Miss on a Saturday night.
Yep.
Southern Miss on national TV beat you 21-0. And I think I remember Bill Curry was doing the game, which was like the worst case scenario for Alabama fans. I've got Bill Curry calling the game, and my team's losing 21-0 to Southern Miss. Could not have gotten worse there. That Central Florida loss, that had the kind of the bad situation there at the end. Those were all like, how did Alabama football get this bad? Surprise, right? How is Alabama losing these games? This is Alabama we're talking about. This is definitely the most surprising loss in my lifetime of a good Alabama.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just think over all of it.
Yeah, I mean, people would say Stanford over USC, where USC's roster was, but that turned out to be a pretty good Stanford team. Now, academically, this Vandy team in Stanford may be a lot like in the ACTs and the SATs, and maybe they end up being a good team.
Particular year, Stanford was so bad the year before, and that was Harbaugh's Stanford, and so they got a little bit better. Now, they were playing a third-string quarterback against Mark Sanchez, and I remember USC was a 41.5-point favorite, but the difference was it seemed like every bounce went Stanford's way. It was a really low-scoring game. Crazy thing about this, and me and Brown met another guy named Ryan. Where was Ryan from last night?
He went to school in Tuscaloosa. He's been living in Nashville, and he's moving to Birmingham. He used to listen to us on Jocks. He found us on YouTube, watches every day in Nashville, and was in Birmingham, I think, scouting his job or houses or whatever. Really nice guy.
And he said the same thing. He was like, watching that game, it was like they were just better. Like there was no fluke about that game. That's what's so crazy. And then you look, and this is why people don't make a living gambling. You look at now Vanderbilt catching 14 points against Kentucky, and like if that Vanderbilt team shows up that showed up Saturday against Alabama,
easiest money on the board.
Yeah, because they win the game. Like they beat Kentucky.
Yeah,
but that team's not going to show up again.
That team is now in the history books. They threw it into the Cumberland River. Brownie, I was about to ask you something. It just slipped my. It was something that you always bring up, but it slipped my mind.
The
film guy. The film guy we had on last week.
Brooks Austin.
Brooks, he broke down third down plays, Vandy, Alabama. And you guys go watch it. Scott and I debated. We decided, it's 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. He probably would rather you go watch it than us show it here on the air.
Sure,
So go watch it.
Go watch it. The film guy, Brooks Austin's been on the show. You guys loved him.
He's in front of the telestrator. And the way, I'm not a football guy, but the way he was making it sound was that Vandy run a version of the same play on all their third and short situations, 3rd and 5 or longer situations, and that Alabama lined up and played the same defense every time. Every time. And he would draw it up. Here's the one guy deep. Here's the 2 linebackers who's going to be responsible for this guy out of the backfield, and this guy's going to run a slant, and he's going to try to pick the DB, which is legal if you throw it behind the line of scrimmage. That's how they got the first down on the first drive. They do it again the next time. This time the Alabama defender comes around the pick to cover the back out of the backfield, which opens up the slant for an easy first down pass. And he said, every time Alabama lined up in the same defense and they ran the same play and just had different persons that got the ball depending on how Alabama played the pick play on the linebacker basically.
The play that stands out to me, there were a lot of plays for Vanderbilt in that game, but the first time they ran that little shovel, that was so well called.
Yeah. And the second time it was well called.
Well, the second time you're like, how does that work twice? But the first time you're like, that was just a perfectly timed play
call. But they've been doing that all year.
Yeah.
So, that's on Kane Womack looking at that. That's been in their arsenal. And that's why I think Mark Stoops, Stoops' defense is going to give Vanderbilt's offense a lot of problems.
Speaking of Kane Womack, we'll hear cut 5 from Maurice here in just a second. one of the Alabama assistants here, but I want to tell you about a couple of our great sponsors. One of them is our friends at Woodhouse Day Spa.
Woodhouse Day Spa, just a great place to not only go and check out just the incredible facility that it is, but if you're looking to sit on the couch all day on Saturday, you want to send the girlfriend or wife off somewhere where she's not going to be upset that you're watching football all day, I'm telling you, she's going to love a gift card from the Woodhouse Day Spa. You can order them 24/7 online, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. You can choose or let her choose from a menu of over 70 options, including massages, body treatment, skincare, waxing, nail services. Woodhouse Day Spa, voted America's best day spa since 2009. Again, order that special person gift online 24/7, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, or stop in, see Stuart and the great staff. Tell them the next round sent you.
And our friends at the Pant Store, pantstore.com, locations in Birmingham, Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, Auburn, and Leeds. But pantstore.com, wherever you're watching us today, it's your game day headquarters for Bama and Auburn polos, hats, and quarter zips. Quarter zips there from products and brands like Gentile, Antigua, Cutter Buck, Horn Legend, and all that. And ladies, they've got the rompers and the dresses with free alterations and free gift wrapping for everything this holiday season. Nothing's better on the holiday morning, the Christmas morning, than opening up a nice package from our folks at the Pant Store. They got the Western boots, New Balance, and Hoka footwear as well. Nothing says roll tide and war eagle like the Pant Store, pantstore.com. All right. Here's Coach Lindquist. This is how media works, right? Malachi Moore says something about plays coming in slow.
Right.
So the next time you get a defensive coach, as a person who covers Alabama, you got to ask the defensive coach, well, Malachi says the plays are coming in slow. So that's the question to Maurice Lindquist.
Malachi mentioned yesterday that defensive players have communicated wanting to get signals in a little faster. I guess what have those discussions been like, and what are you guys trying to change?
Love Malachi, the work that he puts in every single week. His heart is into Alabama more than anybody I've ever been around, and we're going to do everything we can to put our players in the best position to be successful and continue to learn and grow from this past game and all the games that we've had. So, that's maybe is a hot topic and a hot discussion about things, but we're trying to find every single way we can to continue to improve and grow and get better. And those are one of the things we'll continue to improve, an area we'll continue to improve in.
I think that's a great way to answer it if you're a coach. I mean, there's a lot of things you can say there that will, A, either add fuel to the fire, or B, get taken out of context. He gave you absolutely nothing that could get taken out of context there.
Is he not going to be a major focal point on Saturday? Because I've said this.
Moore?
Yeah, it really doesn't matter what Alabama does. They can win 55-0. I don't think Alabama fans are going to feel at ease after what happened this past Saturday. But I think the most interesting thing to watch maybe is number 13 on the defense.
I want to watch first play. I mean, is there a chance he's not out there first defensive play?
Kalen DeBoer said there would be no suspension. I mean, that sounds like a suspension to me.
Yeah, Nick Saban
or
never
a punishment.
Nick Saban never would tell you that anybody was suspended. You would just notice, like, oh man, so and so's not out there.
Yeah, and then he would address it after the game. Like
then he would come
noticed.
in the second quarter or the second half or whatever. It seems like they were all handed a card that said, okay, when asked about Malachi, in your head you may be wanting to say he's talking too much.
Greatest Alabama. They all started off with that. You cut him open, script A's are going to come out of it.
He pleads script A's. This guy, nobody loves Alabama. Nobody loves Alabama football more than Malachi.
Yeah, I have heard that enough. That's great. That's great.
It's like
I think Tyler Booker probably loves them just as much. Is that fair? I know Roman Harper loves Alabama just as much. Is there a chance there's not a C on his jersey?
No.
I don't think so. Permanent captain seems to be a punishment if you take off permanent.
There's the word permanent.
You take it off for a game and then you write for the right game and you give it to him before that game. I don't know. Seems like there would be something else out there.
I don't know what else you could do. Like you guys remember Jeff Berger getting suspended for that one play. I can't remember who they were playing, Jim. It seemed like it was a big game.
It was
Florida State
Saturday night.
The old Pat Dye suspension.
Yeah,
I want to say it was Auburn at Tennessee, but I'm just guessing here. It was prime time. I know that ESPN, and he was suspended one play for a hunting trip.
Yeah, and as I remember it, the backup went in and handed it off or something like that.
That seems so. So minimal now compared to things that are going on.
I would agree.
Yeah. We'll do our four downs later in the show. Buster Olney is is due up here at 10:30. I don't want to squeeze Buster. We went really deep into the Alabama conversation there. More college football in a moment. Let's get to JD from Huntsville and keep the Alabama conversation going on. JD, how you doing, boy, buddy? Welcome in.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to comment on the Vanderbilt game, and a lot of people were quick to point out that this loss was not a fluke. And I will say this: the Vanderbilt offense dominating the Alabama defense was not a fluke. Okay, but if you really look at it close, the outcome was a little fluky because you just look. There's about 28 points there that. There's just no way that you could predict those kinds of things happening. That tip ball, I mean, that thing couldn't have bounced up any better. You could do that in practice and try to get that to happen, and it just never would.
Okay, so that's one. Give me the next one. Yeah.
Yes, the two number twos. I mean,
well, that's not fluky. That's terrible
not
coaching.
Fluky. That's horrible coaching.
That's terrible coaching to do that in October. That's not fluky, and that led to a touchdown.
I say fluky in the sense that how many times are your coaches is that going to happen?
Well, it should be zero. Should be zero.
When's the last time you saw it happen in a game?
Well, I haven't seen it happen in an Alabama game in a while because somebody else has been there for 17 years.
Yeah.
I saw Auburn get away with it one time during Cam's year against Clemson, helped them win. But and then
that was 2010, by the way, 14 years ago.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. You never see it.
Yeah.
You never see it.
You just made his point, I guess.
Yeah.
You just never see it. So, and then the blindside hit, on Jalen. I mean, it's a great play by the guy, but the fact that he fumbles it and it lands right to the guy, that takes away points from Bama because they're dominating. I guarantee you, Coach Lee is excited about the win, but after they went back and looked at the film, I guarantee you he went to his defensive coordinator and said, guys, we should have beat them by 20. Yeah. Why are we not getting stops? Yeah. So anyway, I said I had to say Vanderbilt played a great game. They have a very unique offense that, Alabama just, for whatever reason, I didn't see one stunt. I didn't see any kind of 5-man, 6-man lines of scrimmage, anything. They were just going to play it straight up. And you guys have played, the clip from, I forget the guy on YouTube that just really just obliterated their effort on defense. But, yeah, so the offense moving the ball as well as they did, not a fluke. Absolutely dominated Alabama. But those plays that I just mentioned, it's like a 28-point swing there. I mean, it's just and then you talk about time of possession. If Alabama had the ball because Vanderbilt wasn't going to stop them. So it took those kinds of things to happen in order to get the outcome that we got. Don't take anything away from Vanderbilt. They deserve to win. And if that set of circumstances happens against anybody they play, you're likely to get the same result.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Jay.
But, I think you did get stops. I mean, the fluke, as he's calling it, interception, that was a Vandy defender timing that perfectly. It wasn't like it was off the fingertips of an Alabama guy. The guy's bang, bang right there. Ball goes in the air. That's the flukish part, I guess, the bounce. But then you can't put fluke in the defensive linebacker, whatever position he was, beating your right tackle and lighting up your quarterback. And not only just, it wasn't like Jalen dropped the ball off the hit. As he's hitting, he rakes the ball out. A spectacular 5-star-like play from the Vandy defender. That's not flukish. That's a great football play there. Those aren't fluky things.
No,
that's just one guy making a great play beating your guy.
Yeah, I think the problem was it was that Vanderbilt uniform, because I think the players and coaches are probably guilty of what we were. I don't know how you guys felt. And, playing it back in retrospect, Vanderbilt played with Alabama every single snap. But I never, just based on the history of Alabama-Vanderbilt football, thought Vanderbilt was going to win that game until they got that final first down.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
And I think the coaches and players thought the exact same thing. There weren't adjustments made because they felt like they were superior in talent, and they sooner or later would be able to pull away in this game.
It felt like defensively anyway, they were like, why are we going to do a risky defense here? Blitz a bunch of people or do this and that and give up possibly a cheap touchdown if we just keep doing this.
Right. We don't have to they don't dictate what we're doing.
Exactly.
We are superior. This is Vanderbilt football. And you got to give Clark Lee a lot of credit. Clark Lee, I think a lot of people forget he was on a hot seat, a Vanderbilt hot seat coming into this season.
A Vanderbilt hot seat, which means you've gotten tons.
He had not beaten a
a Power 5 team since 2021 when he got his contract extension. So he had gone 2 full years, and then this year he realistically should be 5-0 right now.
What's their record right now?
3-2.
3-2.
Yeah, people were killing us for not giving them an A yesterday. Furman was. People on our report card.
I gave them an A.
I didn't.
I didn't have a problem giving them a B because of the loss to Georgia State.
They're 3-2. It's hard to give a 3-2 team an A.
And they really, they blew the Missouri game. They should have won that game.
I know.
Yeah, they should be 5-0.
Completely.
Yeah, they could be 5-0 with technically at the time 3 top 10, top 15, top 20 wins.
You've blown 2 wins. They really have blown 2 wins.
I think I said this a couple of days ago. They would be in the top 15 right now.
Yeah.
BYU's a team that started outside of the top 25. They're number 14 at 5-0 right now. Iowa State started outside of the 25, or they're 5-0 right now at number 11. Vanderbilt would be a top 15 team right now.
Yeah, if they had beaten Missouri and Georgia State, they would be at least where LSU is. At least.
And what is Vanderbilt's next? Well, they're going to lose to Kentucky.
Yeah.
But
they've got a path to 6. It's going to probably require them winning in Jordan-Hare.
No, I'm just wondering would game day ever show up at Vanderbilt?
No,
I think they did one time.
They did it for Auburn.
Right?
It was Auburn Vandy with Franklin was there in Vandy.
Oh, here's why, because I think we brought this up. So if they would have beaten Kentucky and Ball State, then they would have number 1 Texas coming to Nashville on October 26th.
Game day.
That would have been fantastic. All right. Tell us about our friends at Gray's Tree Services. Brown botched Mike McDonald earlier.
Yeah.
I did something, I'm sure.
Well, I've got the wrong, so let me completely fix this.
I'm playing the Guardians again against Tigers. I'm sure they won't score a run.
Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy on the LSU Ole Miss game. Herb Street is flying from game day in Eugene for the 2:30 Red River kick. That's a bold strategy.
Yeah.
A show ends at 11.
Well, remember one time he left early from a game day location, and they showed him in a helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
Had a camera shot from the helicopter as he was flying away from game day, got in a jet.
Maybe that's what they'll do. I don't know.
I would think that Eugene to Dallas on a private is probably 2 hours.
I mean, that's still cutting it close.
Yeah.
11, that gets you there, at 1 o'clock for a 2:30 kick. By the time you land, get through traffic, get to the stadium, I mean, that's tight.
Yeah.
I think one of the weirdest things, and maybe it was just where we were in Dallas, I don't remember any traffic. I mean,
I'm sure there will be.
I really don't.
Maddie, because you were asleep and I was driving. The show being brought to you by our friends.
We're Grace. We got to clean that up.
Right there at Grace, yeah.
Family owned and operated for 25 years right here in Birmingham. John Mark and their crew came out to my house a couple of years ago. They do fantastic work. They've come to a lot of Double Down employees' houses to clean up that dead wood. Experts in high-risk tree removals, pruning, soil health treatment to strengthen your trees and plants. Call 205-281-6100. You can scan the QR code that Scotty has put up right there, or just visit graystree.com.
And our friends at Way to Wellness, Weight Loss Simplified from Leslie and our board-certified team there. First off, if you go to their website at planforme.com, maybe you want to change careers, you can check out career opportunities right now at Way to Wellness right there. Or you can get that personalized plan for weight loss that works for you, or maybe to control some blood pressure or cholesterol numbers like I did. Medical weight loss supervision, they have that there with the popular injections. They've got meal replacements. They've got the board-certified medical professionals standing by to help you throughout the process. No contract, no sign-up fees, and the first consultation is free with our friends at Way to Wellness. Again, the website is aplanforme.com. Aplanforme.com. It's Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
Hey, you. Feel that? That's fall in the air. And New Balance Birmingham got your fresh fall pair. To kick it during game time and sport from the sideline. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280 right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Hey, this is Matt Roth, the franchisee of Walk On Sports Bistro in Birmingham. With the kickoff of football season, come visit us at one of our 3 locations, Stadium Trace, Greystone, or Trussville. Come enjoy our scratch kitchen menu while watching one of our 80 TVs. Whether you're looking for a pre- or post-game celebration, game day, or date night, we've got you covered. It's all about the win at Walk On Sports Bistro. Walk On, where everybody needs a little playing time.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
Back with you on the Next Round. Buster Olney in about 30 seconds after LT tells us about, we don't get fall foliage. We go from summer to just the leaves falling in your gutters.
Yeah, look,
here.
and the leaves are falling. Absolutely love it. But the last thing you want to do is get the ladder out. It's dirty, dangerous job. You slip, you fall, snap the neck and die. No good to the wife or kids. Cap it. Don't snap it right now. 45% off the retail price from our friend Chris Stewart. Look, you'll never have to clean the gutters again. Call for the absolutely free estimate. He'll come out and give it to you right now. 205-823-2212 or guttercapbirmingham.com.
Where do you guys want to start with Buster? You want to let Buster dictate?
Yeah,
Where he starts? All right,
yeah.
Buster.
I got one for you.
Okay.
I got a gutter story for you. You ready?
Yes.
So,
of course.
When Nathan Evaldi was a free agent one year, and he got a whopper offer from the Boston Red Sox for $68 million, and his agent called to tell him that. And, it was an exciting offer for a guy who's been through so many injuries in his career. And at the end of it, the agent said, hey, where are you? You sound like you're quiet. He goes, I'm up on the roof and I'm changing, I'm cleaning out the gutter. And the agent was like, hey, Nathan, get off the ladder. Don't clean your own gutters, okay? Let's just make that very clear right now. You just got a $68 million contract.
Yeah. Slowly walk down the ladder.
This affects me too, Nathan. It doesn't just affect you.
Hey, speaking of dangerous behavior for pitchers, and not to get gloom here, but Roy Halladay dies in a plane crash.
Wow.
Who was the other guy that hit a building in New York City that was a pretty good pitcher? He wasn't great. He was a solid starter, though.
Corey Lytle.
Yeah. What was more surprising, and do you know the in-depth stories on those?
I don't know the in-depth story on what happened with Corey Lytle in that I think he was learning how to fly and he just made a mistake, if I remember correctly. Right? He just went off course and he hit the side of the building. It was a sad thing. Corey was a great guy. I covered him when he broke into the big leagues back in 1997.
To the games on the field, the New York Stars showed up last night, including the elimination game, Francisco Lindor. For this Mets organization, so many times, Buster, it just seems like this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year. This has been a pretty magical run at the end.
It really has been. And to think that in the middle of May, we were talking about the Mets as being inevitable sellers because of the trajectory of the team early in the year and how they were playing and all the marketable players they had. And they wind up now in this situation where they are one round from reaching the World Series. And I'm really happy for Lindor in particular. If you guys remember, in those first couple of years after he signed that $341 million deal with the Mets, he struggled for a time. He had that situation where he and his teammate Javi Baez were doing the thumbs down. They were not happy with the fan reaction. He was getting booed. Well, Francisco, when you meet him, he's such a positive person. And it does feel like that he's evolved, and over the course of his career, he's learned to just avoid all that and stay away from all that and remain positive. I was talking with my colleague Carl Ravitch this morning about how when we saw Lindor in spring training, one of the topics that came up was the fact that his old manager, Buck Showalter, was fired, and Lindor was not happy about that. Like, he was weeping when Buck got fired last fall. And Lindor in spring, when we started talking about it, you could tell he was like, you know what? Maybe he wasn't happy about it, but that's not where we are, and we're going to move forward. We got Carlos Mendoza as the manager. We're going to try to keep this going and move this in a positive direction. That's almost what he did on that home run last night. Hits the home run. We're used to guys now bat flipping and going crazy and dancing around the bases. He dropped the bat at his feet, 30 feet up the first baseline, and just, jogged around the bases because he says we got more work to do.
ESPN's Buster Olney with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. They advance to take on the winner of this Padres-Dodgers series, which wraps up tomorrow night. And it's back in Dodger Stadium. And the last time it was there, it was an ugly scene, Buster. I don't know that you can predict what type of atmosphere we see in this game coming up tomorrow night.
No. What type of atmosphere, what type of reaction? You think about Yu Darvish, who's starting this game for the San Diego Padres. The last time that he started in a winner-take-all game in Dodger Stadium was Game 7 of the 2017 World Series, and Yu Darvish absolutely spat the bit in that game. There's talk about how the Astros in that game knew what was coming. Darvish didn't make it through, I think, 11 batters. And now he's, 7 years older, more experienced with the Padres. He seems to be pitching really well. Do we know for sure how he's going to react to this moment? And Dave Roberts in that game is going to have the same challenge that he did in that game last night. I don't think he has any idea where he's getting his pitching from. He just knows he's going to, line it up as best he can and put guys out there and hope they respond the way they did last night. 8 different pitchers combining for a shutout of the Padres. I never would have guessed that the Dodgers would win that game last night, given how it was lined up, given that it was in San Diego, the momentum of the teams. It's really a credit to the veterans like Mookie Betts, who again leads off the game with a home run.
Yeah, and only the second team in Major League history to have 8+ pitchers in a 9-inning shutout game. I mean, that is pretty amazing. Do you think the mentality now is, look, we have got an outstanding lineup, even without Freddie in it. We've just got to score runs and just hope for the best that we can just hold them to a minimum. We've got to score 6+ runs and hope to get this win. And speaking of which, is Freddie going to play tomorrow night?
My guess is he's not. I mean, you've seen him in the way that he tried to move in the first games of this series. And when he met with reporters last week, he said that the doctors told him this would normally be the sort of injuries, high ankle sprain, that would require 4 to 6 weeks for him to heal. He was trying to come back in 1 week, and he was not moving. They made the decision 2 nights ago, you know what, Freddie's not a go. Now, could he try? Absolutely. But my guess is they feel like we just need to move forward. put our healthy guys on the field. And I think your casting of it was exactly right. If the Dodgers are going to win this thing, they're going to have to hit past all the issues where they have with their pitching staff, and they are fully capable of it. When you have Shohei Ohtani, as great as he is, and you have Mookie Betts and Teoscar Hernandez, they have this really deep lineup, and it's 2024 when it feels like that anything is possible with all these teams. The Mets coming back from the dead. The Detroit Tigers were 8 games under 500 back in the middle of August, and now they're 1 game away from reaching the American League Championship Series.
That is amazing to think about. Also, I saw it this morning, and I think it was on ESPN.com where I saw it. 71 times Aaron Judge has struck out in the postseason.
That's right.
And you've seen certain athletes have great careers, and just not have great postseason moments. What do you make of this? Is he pressing?
I think he's pressing, and I also think that at this time of year, there's hyper focus on how to pitch opposing hitters, and the Royals are doing a good job of it. Fast, it's the old formula: hard up and in, and soft stuff away. And Aaron Judge is chasing. He is. I don't think there's any question. He's feeling the pressure, and it does really tell you just how crazy, the narrative can change. Because this guy was coming off one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen. I told you, his adjusted OPS plus was better than Lou Gehrig ever had in any season, better than Mickey Mantle had in any season. Joe DiMaggio, he had that type of regular season. And yet after the first 2 games, guys, I was doing Baseball Tonights up in Bristol in recent days. I'm driving back from that at 1 o'clock in the morning, and talk radio in New York is all about what is wrong with Aaron Judge.
Right.
2 days. 2 days. On one hand, if you are Reggie Jackson, you are your legacy is built on a handful of games in October in New York going forward. And if you're Aaron Judge, 2 days wipes out everything you've done before that, it seems like. And everyone's asking the question, what's the problem with Aaron Judge in the postseason? That's the way it is. It's not fair. And he's going to have to hit to overcome it.
Back to those amazing Tigers, 1 win away. Game goes off at 5:08 today, TNT. From getting to the ALCS for the first time since 2013. I'm going to be stubborn. I'm playing the Guardians again. I don't know what's going on with the offense. 20 consecutive innings. They have yet to score a run. From your view, talking to everybody in the organization, is this just a weird coincidence? It just happened to hit in the postseason?
Well, on the Guardians side of things, the first half of the year, the reason why the Guardians got off to such a great start was that their offense seemed to overperform. That you had guys who were hitting, and they had more depth than they ever have. And then down the stretch, they did struggle for runs. Like, they took a step back offensively. And so, we'll see if they're able to reverse it. For me, the bigger shock is how well the Detroit pitching staff is performing. It is amazing when you look at the pedigrees, the resumes of the guys on the Detroit staff. It's not like they got a bunch of Paul Skeens #1 draft picks who are totally dominating. Yes, Tarek Skubal, when he's out there, the presumptive Cy Young Award winner in the American League, he's outstanding. But the guys who rolled out yesterday, 6 different pitchers over the course of 9 innings, these are scrap heap guys. Like, these are guys picked up in waivers and pitchers who worked on their deliveries and found a particular pitch and threw really hard. And A.J. Hinch, their manager, has done such an extraordinary job. I've been texting with Joey Cora, who is my classmate at Vanderbilt. He's now the third base coach for the Tigers, and he has been raving about how A.J. Hinch has been managing, down the stretch and in this fall. He's got all these young guys believing they can actually get this done.
You mentioned the Tigers and Skubal. That travel day becomes a massive day because if it does go 5 games, that allows him full rest, right? He's a Game 5 starter on his normal rest.
And you guys are old enough to remember the 1986 playoffs, okay? The Mets and the Astros, and Mike Scott in that postseason was unhittable. Now, there's always been stories. Was he cutting the baseball, and was that part of what was going on? Either way, he was unbelievable. That's the way that it feels like with Tarek Skubal right now, where if he just throws his glove out on the mound, you're not going to score. He is that good. I was texting with Jeff Francoeur early in that playoff game the other day. Basically, like, man, if you want to know what no-hit stuff looks like, watch Tarek Skubal against the Guardians early in that start he had against them. I agree with you. I mean, the fact that the Tigers got ahead in the series and now are set up to have Skubal, if they need him, be the guy, that they're in a great spot.
Mike Scott, as a kid, I remember was one of the first I ever heard about throwing, dominant split finger fastballs. And I don't remember who before that, but that was the first guy I remember, like reading an SI article from like Peter Gammons or something, talking about how dominant that splitter was.
Yeah, he and Bruce Sutter, right? That pitch. But, the Mike Scott, and of course the stories have always been the New York Mets players will always believe that he was cutting the baseball, carving it up, and it was just moving all over the place. There's that great physical reaction from the late Hall of Famer Gary Carter when he swung and missed at a pitch and looked back at the umpire like, you're kidding. Come on. Come on. Really?
Buster,
you're going to let him do
Astro
that?
wouldn't cheat.
Yeah.
Astros don't cheat.
All right,
I
Buster.
didn't even connect that.
Where were you? Where were you when the game went final Saturday, Buster? Did you get to watch any of it at all?
I was actually working, okay, and I got so many text messages from people all around the country, old friends from school, coworkers. And then on Sunday morning, they had me on SportsCenter, and they, we were going to talk baseball for sure, but the producers made sure that they blocked out some time for me to talk about Vanderbilt and to be excited. Think about it. The last time they beat Alabama, I was in school. Look at me, how old I am. Okay, it's the last time, but I was in school when they did that.
Yeah. Wow, 1984, right? That was the year. Am I right about that? 84.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I was a stupid sophomore.
Yeah. I was in school too, Buster. I was in school too.
Well, congrats to your Commodores. I know you don't get a lot of moments like that, so I hope you were able to soak it up just a little bit, even though you were working.
I liked it. And your friend Nick Saban, he can't say anything bad about playing in Vanderbilt anymore. That's all I'm going to say.
He's your colleague. He's your coworker. You let him know.
I know. I just, those words stung. As true as they were, they stung when he said them. And it was nice that we could put them back in his face by the end of the day.
Buster, thank you. Enjoy the rest of the week. We'll see you next Thursday.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right, buddy. Buster Olney with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
And the show being brought to you by our friends at Odie's, where you guys were last night. What was the question last night?
Which came first, John Lennon or M&M's?
M&M's the candy, not M&M the wrapper.
That is correct.
Be quite the longevity,
it
right?
would be, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the candy M&M, the original candy.
John Lennon celebrated a birthday yesterday. Would have been 84, so he was born in 1940. M&M's came out in 1941. I surprised Brown with a little knowledge, didn't I?
Yes, you did, Lance. Yes, you did. M&M's, they were coated in a way they could get chocolate to the troops in World War II without the chocolate melting.
Really? Is that how they came up with it?
That's what I was told.
That is tremendous.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Good for it. I mean, we do a lot of great inventions.
Yeah.
Just to make things happen for people.
That could be urban legend. I don't know.
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay. I don't think so either. Also today, by our friends at Johnston RV Center, johnstonrvcenter.com.
I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 Indicator. It's where you find Johnston RV Center. You can get some of that great fall foliage. I've never been able to say that word. I'm going to quit right now. Foliage. I can't do it, Tyler. Travel trailers as low as $145 a month. Fifth wheel starting at $45,000 with their discounts there. RV warranty forever. Make sure you've got that lifetime warranty on anything new and qualifying used when you go to Johnston RV Center. I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 Indicator, johnstonrvcenter.com.
We are about to roll into the early lunch hour.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I was just going to say, grab a slice, a salad. One of those 5 great locations of Slice, Lakeview, Vestavia, Montevallo, Crestline Park, newest location in Edgewood. Get and see the Bajaya Brothers. Local pizza, local ingredients. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
And they bring us 4 downs every day, and Tyler has them for us on Thursday, man.
First down.
Our conversation yesterday about chicken and waffles had me thinking, what is the perfect breakfast meal or item? Describe it.
I'm a simpleton. I'm from the dirt road, Smoky Road. I'm just going to go the All-Star Special. at Waffle House. I love it because it gives me sweet and salty. I changed the grits to the scatter covered and smothered hash browns. I changed the sausage to the bacon. But the All-Star Special, because that gives you I go fried eggs over medium, I go the hash browns, I go the bacon, then I get the waffle, and I don't know what they put in their waffle mix, but it's fantastic at Waffle House. Nice black coffee. That's a great breakfast.
See, I like a unique breakfast because breakfast is so redundant to me. And I'm not a big breakfast guy. I think Brown is a big breakfast guy.
No, I am not.
Dunaway's a big breakfast guy.
Dunaway.
But like this past Sunday, we went to an English pub. You guys know where I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And they had the breakfast sandwich, and you could do the house-made sausage or bacon. So we did the house-made sausage, and it came on a brioche bun. It was some of the best sausage I've ever tasted in my life. It was just an incredible sandwich. So it was so unique, and they had breakfast potatoes with it. So I want something unique because, dinner, lunch, you can mix it up all the time. Breakfast always seems very, I don't know.
Yeah, if I never ate breakfast again, I'd be just fine. It's the worst meal of the day. So to answer your question.
Yes. Huh? For you, your wife and I agree.
That is correct.
She loves
yes.
breakfast.
That's the one thing. My wife really likes a good breakfast. Don't really care. Breakfast I could do without. So to answer your question, cinnamon roll. I love a cinnamon roll.
Cinnamon rolls are good.
I prefer the orange roll over the cinnamon roll. Hate the cinnamon roll.
I like orange rolls better
cinnamon
too.
rolls are phenomenal.
Second down.
Today, the movie Saturday Night, which is about the lead up to the first ever broadcast of Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
Releases wide today.
Will you be there?
I will be there.
Now, is it a story that is scripted
Yes,
with
it's a
some facts correct, and it's just sort of enhanced for a movie, or is it like a documentary style?
More so the former, but it is produced by Lorne Michaels.
Okay.
So it is a lot of his experience in the movie.
Okay.
It's got 79%.
Is there a name in it?
Willem Dafoe, I see him. I don't see the rest of the cast.
It's got one of the kids from Stranger Things, Finn Wolfhard, the kid that was in It.
Is that his Christian
So
name?
Jason
Yes.
Reitman, we were talking about Up in the Air with George Clooney from 2007, 2008. He's the guy that wrote that. He directs this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But no, it's not. Garrett Morris's son's in it.
Oh, okay.
So your question is what?
So all of that was to lead up to the question, what is the best ever sketch on SNL?
Oh, I've got two.
Two of me or Chris Farley's. Are you Chris Farley?
One is a Chris Farley, one is not.
Mine's Chippendale tryout, and then
him and Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, and then Down by the River.
Van Down by the River.
Yeah, Van Down by the River.
And Bob Odenkirk's the one that created that. I didn't really like that. I love the Schmitzke.
Schmitzke beer?
Yeah, when they're out of town and they turn on that hose and that pool and the pool boys come out. Schmitzke is incredible.
That's a good
And
bit.
then Dick in a Box was so freaking good. I mean, those were two that just had me laughing out loud.
Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer was just such a funny concept. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm just a caveman.
That was good.
So
Simple caveman.
I'm just a
This
simple
cell
caveman.
phone me, it scares me.
And I'll be honest, Bergazzi's, he's not my favorite comedian, but the two things he did, his first time and the last time when he's George Washington talking to the colonial soldiers, I mean, both of those have been very, very funny.
And even though our interview about it could not have gone worse, the More Cowbell skit is fantastic as well.
What interview did you guys
Chris
have?
Kattan, worst guest we've ever had on the show.
Oh, okay.
Oh, guess who else is in this? Greg the Egg from Succession. Nicholas
is he?
Braun, yeah.
I like him. Yeah.
J.K. Simmons.
Okay.
Third down.
Mario Lopez turns 50 today. Who had the better career, Mario Lopez or George Lopez?
Easy for me, Mario. Saved by the Bell is better than anything George Lopez did.
George Lopez stole a lot of jokes. He's always been obnoxious to me. Mario Lopez, you remember when he was dating Ali Landry, the Doritos girl? She did a Doritos commercial, Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But he's the one that went on his bachelor party and he took some dude down there, completely burned him. One of his friends came back, said he cheated on her bachelor party. She called the wedding off. Then he was in like Pacific Blue. He's had quite the interesting career. Never like A-list, but always just kind of hovering.
He's cashed some checks.
Oh, yeah.
For a long time.
I would go Mario Lopez.
I think I'd go Mario Lopez, too.
too.
He's had a good, long career. Like Lance said, it's never been an A-list career, but I think he's stuck B-list for probably 30 years now.
Played Greg Louganis in some movie.
And that entertainment television career he carved out pretty good as well.
Yeah, he gets a lot of hosting gigs.
Yeah, absolutely he does.
4th down.
David Lee Roth turns 69 today. So who is the best rock frontman in history?
I think you have to consider David Lee Roth in the conversation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just for a showman, I don't think they lost anything musically. Maybe gained when they got Sammy Hagar. Freddie Mercury would be one of those guys that is up there.
That's who you would say.
Robert Plant, but I probably would go for longevity, Steven Tyler.
Yeah,
at Aerosmith.
Yeah, it'd be hard to beat that.
Steven Tyler and Aerosmith's good. For me, I consider it a rock band. Prince and the Revolution, right? Do you give me Prince? Is he a front man?
I think it's too much about Prince. Again, it is Prince and the Revolution.
Yeah, and the Revolution. I would almost say...
I don't think anybody thinks about the Revolution. I think it's just all Prince.
I would
How many
almost
people
say...
in the Revolution can you name?
None. But can you name any Heartbreakers for Tom Petty?
No, but
I think it's the
to
same.
answer this
Yeah, it's still the same
question.
argument.
To answer this question honestly, I think it can't include the guy's name in the band. So it's got to be like Led Zeppelin was Robert Plant, Queen was Freddie Mercury, Aerosmith was Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
You can't name like Bruce Springsteen and Springsteen and the E Street Band.
Then with my age, I'm going to go Axl Rose then.
All right.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Axl Rose. He just is
3 good albums, right?
Yeah, but he lost his voice. I mean, it was.
I'm not asking him to come off the bench now. I'm asking all the time.
You wouldn't if
He's not getting up off the bench.
I mean,
he's going to pull a Malachi Moore.
If you're old enough, I mean, Mick Jagger has done it for a long time. He would be a front man, right?
Oh, absolutely, it would be.
Yeah. So those are 4 downs today from Tyler. Great list there. Brought to you by our friends at Slice.
Yeah, pick up unique pizzas from the Soul Pie to the Hot Mama, the Wing and a Prayer, the Bajaya Special for lunch or dinner. Stop into one of those 5 locations. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
And don't forget, we can play before Brown gives us our tradition, which he'll do before we get to the top of the hour, Orlovsky in about 10 minutes. Remember, you can play all the plays tonight, 3 college football games, 1 NFL football game, and 2 baseball games today. Lance has some plays on those at lanceslock.com, brought to you by our friends at Hemphill.
Yeah, jump on board with us, lanceslock.com. $100 will get you everything. We've got a free play up every single day. It's up right now. Brought to you by our friends at Hemphill Services. Hard to stop a train. Make sure you call 205-229-2090. Whether you experience plumbing, heating, or cooling issues in your home or business, they are ready to serve you. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
The College Football Spotlight.
College football's best traditions.
All right, we do a tradition every single week, try to educate you on some stuff going on in college football. McCurry Van and Car Rental brings you the tradition each week. SUVs, passenger vans, trucks, easy to rent, in and out fast. Locations in Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, Coleman on 2nd Avenue Northwest, and Skyland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, 256-559-1003, or McCurryRentals.com. We're going to go.
I think you're buying into the hype. I think you're going West Coast. I think you're going to Eugene, Oregon.
To the Red River rivalry.
Okay, I am wrong.
A college football game played between Texas and Oklahoma. 1900. Do you know, boy, why am I talking like Joe Tess all of a sudden? Do you know, Jesse, that Oklahoma wasn't even a state when this thing started? That's pretty crazy to think about, right? Oklahoma wasn't even a state in the Union, guys. 119 games. Who do you think has the edge in this one?
119. I am going to say that it is. Oh, this is going to be close. I think Oklahoma's got the edge.
It's going to be close. Oklahoma.
I will go.
I mean, Bud Wilkinson years, they racked up some wins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll go 62-57.
Barry Switzer's about to turn 90. He had some wins. I'm going to say very close as well. I'm going to go slight edge Oklahoma.
Texas has the edge. 63-51-5. Texas has the edge. Oklahoma's had it of late 7 of the last 10. It was the Red River shootout until the 100th game when it became the Red River rivalry. Shootout was replaced as not to convey gun violence, and immediately after they did that, gun violence stopped in America. So it was a good choice by them.
Yeah, right. Hey, and nobody in Texas carries a piece.
That's right, not at all.
That's right.
It became
Same thing happened in D.C. when they got rid of the Washington Bullets. No more bullets.
No more gun violence. Red River rivalry after that. Red River showdown. It's back to the Red River rivalry. We'll always call it the Red River shootout. That's the only thing I am going to call it.
Cocktail party. No more drinks.
No, nobody ever drink again. Yep. Nobody ever did anything they shouldn't do again. They play, guys, for a trophy. The Golden Hat. You guys have seen the Golden Hat, right? Yeah. Scott's got some photos of the Golden Hat for you here.
Now, they actually Does that hat come off the trophy?
It does indeed. You'll frequently see players wearing it. Baker Mayfield famously wore it. Spencer Rattler wore it. Quinn Ewers has even had a chance to put it on.
Apparently, Brent Venables wore it after playing the fife for the Patriotic Band at July 4th.
Both teams signed a contract to play in Dallas during the State Fair back in 1929. It was originally just a 10-year deal.
Apparently, Abe Lincoln wore it.
The tradition has carried on for 3/4 of a century now, and as a show of gratitude, the Texas State Fair donated the golden hat to the game, and since 1941, the winner has gotten it. Started actually as a bronze hat, a brass hat, and became a golden hat. Sark has even worn it. So there you go. It's the golden hat back to 1941. Somebody will walk home with that hat this Saturday.
Technically, they have to leave it behind.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out.
Did you say it was real gold?
It is now. Well, I don't know, probably gold-plated.
Yeah, I don't know, spray painted.
Gold-plated. Pretty cool there. I like that game coming up this weekend. 2:30. Don't turn on your TV at 11 and saying, why am I not getting the Red River shootout? It's not until 2:30 this year. All right, Orlovsky coming up on the other side. The show being brought to you by our friends at Inverness Country Club. The great folks at Inverness. We're going to be out there. Is it next Thursday? No,
next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, next
night.
Tuesday the 15th. Big event coming up. Make sure you join us. Lauren Sisler, our good buddy there. She has got a new book out. Dunaway has not been able to put it down. Is that true?
Shatterproof.
You guys did do something on it a couple of weeks ago, right?
We did a huddle up when it was first available for you to buy online. Now, this is the actual book launch. Today is actually Lauren's birthday. She's big 4-0 today. She's celebrating that, promoting the book. She's part of an ESPN podcast today, and then she'll be on with us coming up next Tuesday.
Yeah, so from 4 to 7, we're going to be out there. We're going to be doing a live show from 4 to 5, and then we're going to have a live Q&A with Lauren. Shatterproof is the book launch. It is the book launch party right there at Inverness Country Club. And also your opportunity to come see the club we've been talking about for months. Inquire about membership there. We're going to have food. We're going to have drink. It's going to be a lot of fun. RSVP if you possibly can. Again, that's 4 to 7 at the Inverness Country Club. For more information, iccalabama.com.
Follow LT on Twitter at @thelancetaylor.
Are you tired of buying your CPAP mask and supplies online only to be disappointed? It's time to visit CPAP Plus, your locally owned and operated CPAP shop that prides itself on personal service. Come see what you're buying at CPAP Plus with 3 convenient locations in Pelham, Highway 280, and now open in Trustful. Drop by for a free CPAP checkup and free filters, no appointment needed. Plus, sign up for their giveaway for a chance to win a free travel CPAP machine. Just Google CPAP Plus or visit any of those 3 locations.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Happy football season. At the Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
Hey, this is Matt Roth, the franchisee of Walk On Sports Bistro in Birmingham. With the kickoff of football season, come visit us at one of our 3 locations, Stadium Trace, Greystone, or Trussville. Come enjoy our scratch kitchen menu while watching one of our 80 TVs. Whether you're looking for a pre- or post-game celebration, game day, or date night, we've got you covered. It's all about the win at Walk On Sports Bistro. Walk On, where everybody needs a little playing time.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Take TNR on the go with a podcast built for your satisfaction. Miss Hour 1? Find it in podcast form. Miss Hour 2? Stream it now. Miss Hour 3? Download it for later. Miss Hour 4? Well, just know it's never coming back. Listen to TNR wherever you find podcasts.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out. Flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat. And please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Live final hour of our show now. Don't forget to download our podcast when the show's over with so you can consume not only the show, that part of the show you missed, but also other podcasts that we send out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can set it up when you subscribe to where it downloads automatically and you're able to listen to it every day. It's all right there at Next Round Live, at Next Round Live. Also here on YouTube, thumbs up all over our social media platforms from TikTok to Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Next Round Live. Taylor Korn appreciates that so much when you like that. Dan Orlovsky in a second talking about the NFL San Francisco-Seattle tonight, 7:15 on Amazon, and a coaching change that Aaron Rodgers says wasn't his fault. We'll talk to Orlovsky about that. Champy's Chicken brings you this hour, Highway 119 in Alabaster. You can call for a catering order, by the way, 205-621-3991. 621-3991. They'll do some catering for you. The Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. You know, I was looking at some appetizers on their menu this morning. Fried jalapeno basket, the buttermilk fried pickle spears they have there, so good. Brown loves the smoked sausage cheese pickle plate that they have there. It's all on Highway 119 in Alabaster. Tailgate and catering. Sterling and the crew, they do it all for you right there at Champy's Chicken, champyschicken.com. Jack, state a winner. More college football tonight, including the battle between two of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, Eastern Division of the Sun Belt Conference. 4-1 Coastal, 4-1 James Madison, 6:30 on ESPN2 coming up tonight. By the way, if you were wondering, with Alabama losing to Vanderbilt last week, their first win ever over a top 5, let alone a number 1 team. Brian, if I asked you which college football team has the most wins over an AP number 1 team ever, remember the poll started in 1936. 1936, most wins over an AP number 1 team all time is?
I mean, you got to feel like it's a blue blood, right?
Well, I'm going to say, and I haven't seen this yet, I'm going to say it's Oklahoma just because they're playing number 1 this week.
Oklahoma is tied for 4th with 7. On their list with them is USC and Purdue. Last time Oklahoma beat the number 1 team in the country, it was Missouri in 2007. Last time USC beat the number 1 team, it was Washington in 1984. Last time Purdue beat the number 1 team, it was Michigan in 1976.
Wow. You got to be in a power conference because you got to play a lot of number 1
I remember
teams.
that 2007 Missouri game. Oklahoma was a 10-point favorite.
Three teams with more number 1 AP wins than Oklahoma, USC, and Purdue. Don't overthink it.
My guess is going to be Michigan.
I'll go Alabama.
Michigan is not in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alabama is number one. They just lost as number one, but they have 11 wins against AP number ones. Their last was against Georgia in the 2023 SEC championship game.
You know why I didn't say Alabama? Is because for a lot of Nick Saban's time there, and that's a big chunk of successful Alabama football, they were number one.
They were the number one.
So it was hard to beat number one.
I don't have it in front of me. I think they also have more losses as the number one team.
It wouldn't surprise me, yeah.
Because they've been number one so much.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is next with 9, tied with Miami, which all theirs is new money, right? Notre Dame's last win over a number one team, Clemson, in 2020. Miami's last win over a number one team, Florida State, in 2000. It's been a while. Just off that top part of that list, next after Purdue with 7 is 3 teams with 5 wins over number one. One of them is Ohio State. Only 5 times they beat the number one team in the country. Last time they did it was Alabama in 2014. Texas has only beat the number one team 5 times in their career. Last time they did it was Oklahoma in 2008. And the team that's next there, the Auburn Tigers, with 5 wins over number one. Last time they did that was Alabama, 2017. I don't know how many times Auburn's beaten a number one team not named Alabama, but I know they did it in 2017. I think 2013 Alabama was number one.
I don't know how deep this goes. I would be interested to see teams that have never beaten a number one.
Well, Vandy was one of them. They're now off that list.
Yes, they just did. They just exited.
I think I can go find it at ESPN.com is where that story is. You can go check it out. I think they list everybody who's beaten an AP number one. Maybe they whittled it down to multiple times, but 1936, that's the list you get there. Orlovsky will join us when he finishes with First Take and jumps on with us, as he always does, to talk NFL in just a second. The question I was going to ask earlier, after LT and Brownie tell us about some great sponsors. First off, our friends at A+. Brownie, tell us about A+.
A+ Tile Home Remodeling. That is who you call when it comes time to redo that master bath, the kitchen, the master bedroom closet. They specialize in that at A+ Tile Home Remodeling. And it's Brad Bell. When it came time to redo the master bath in our house, my wife scoured the internet and she talked to certain contractors. She talked to people that had used certain contractors. She read reviews and she picked Brad Bell, A+ Tile Home Remodeling. I am so glad she did because Brad did tremendous work for us. He specializes in master bath, kitchen, and master bedroom closets. And you know when Brad's doing the work, he's going to do it well. In fact, he's going to do the exact vision you want. You don't call Brad in and he says, do it this way, do it that way. He says, what do you want? You can see just in the before and after in mine and in Lance's. Mine was a brighter bathroom and kind of wanted darker. Lance darker, he kind of wanted brighter. Just shows you right there. Brad's done tremendous work throughout this area, and so many of you have written back and said, thanks for hooking me up with Brad. He did great work. You're welcome. Brad does the work, though. Here's the number, 205-422-1758. That is 205-422-1758 for Brad Bell, A+ Tile Home Remodeling.
And the question I was going to ask earlier, who's at their job longer, LT? Brian Kelly or Lincoln Riley? Both of them took these massive jobs at USC and LSU, leaving really good jobs to take them. And I would say so far, both of them not really where both fan bases thought they'd be right now.
Yeah, I think Brian Kelly's in a better spot, though. You've got the excuse of the SEC. You do have back-to-back 10-win-plus seasons. You know, Lincoln's coming off an 8-win season. Now he's already got 2 losses, including a loss to Minnesota. There are more losses to come on the schedule, probably including Saturday in the Coliseum against Penn State. And I trust Brian Kelly more. I think Brian Kelly's a better coach. Like, I would sign up for a swap right now. Yeah.
Bram, would you agree?
That Brian Kelly's the better coach?
No, that he's there longer.
I don't know, man. That's too bad. I think the pressure to deliver is more at LSU than it is at USC.
It is, but I could see Lincoln Riley as quick as possible take an NFL job to get out of here before it completely collapses.
Wow. Is there, speaking of collapsing, is there a possibility that Orlovsky thought that when Vandy beat Alabama that this place just burned down last week?
Yeah, we're still alive, Dan. Dan, we are here.
We survived, man.
You guys did not take that loss to heart. As thank God for the 12-team playoff.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, it's like it didn't even happen. It's like it didn't even happen.
12-team playoff.
Yeah.
Hey, can you explain to us what did happen with Robert Saleh? Look, I know the results weren't great. It seemed like there was a lot of miscommunication. It seemed like him and Aaron Rodgers weren't necessarily on the same page, but Aaron Rodgers shut it down quickly yesterday on McAfee's show. Was it just as simple as, hey, look, you're not producing, we've got to move ahead?
Yeah, it's certainly a results-oriented business, and the results you get are directly tied to the expectations that you have. And over the last 2 weeks, those expectations haven't been met. I think it's a little bit of a overreaction because of some of the teams that they're playing against. But ever since the move has happened with Robert Saleh being moved on from, the more you hear people in the know talk, the more that the owner, Woody Johnson, has been someone who's been thinking about this and maybe not the biggest fan of Robert Saleh. And so I think it has more to do with I didn't necessarily love the coach and I'm not seeing improvement. And the last 2 weeks have not been good, and more attached to that rather than, Aaron Rodgers doesn't like the dude, so we got to get rid of him.
Why not just go with the hack at the offensive coordinator, though, and just say, man, I'm all in with Aaron. Let's make this as comfortable as we can for you.
Well, because as much as you want to live in a world where you want to have the quarterback as comfortable as possible, there's 10 other guys on offense. And just because the quarterback is comfortable, it doesn't mean that we make everybody else susceptible. And, they have data and empirical evidence of what Nathaniel Hackett was as a head coach, and maybe it wasn't the best situation, but that didn't go well either. And so you're trying to ignite, some energy in your football team. I also think you're trying to make sure you're crystal clear. This is not a we have to save our season situation. They play for first place on Monday night. They're a missed field goal away from being 3-2. So there's significant advantages to just painting a very clear picture to your football team. Like we're going to be totally okay. We just got to clean some things up. And maybe you like the Jeff Ulbrich and his vintage of details and how they're going to go about attacking them. That's probably one of their greatest issues on offense right now.
Dan Orlovsky is with us. He joins us each week courtesy of MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on at MyBookie.ag. San Francisco a 3.5-point favorite tonight over Seattle. In Seattle, right there at MyBookie.ag. Code next round. They double your initial deposit. That's the bonus with code next round. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag. I'm not saying these are the most valuable players. I just know how the MVP vote goes. It's almost always a quarterback. If you voted today, we were discussing this yesterday. If you voted today, it's either Sam Darnold or Jaden Daniels, which is absolutely remarkable to me.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going strictly quarterback, it would be Sam Darnold for me. If we were going straight up, I would say Justin Jefferson. To the point of the Jaden Daniels thing, I'm not putting Jaden into that conversation yet. Now, if he goes on the road and beats Lamar in Baltimore, then he absolutely is into that conversation. Lamar's never lost to a rookie quarterback, 7-0 versus them. It reminds me this week at least, and I'm living in the hypothetical foreshadowing world of they go and win. Washington goes up to Baltimore and wins. It reminds me a lot of Houston and CJ going to Cincinnati last year and having that great comeback late and Houston beating Cincinnati there. And that's when, for me, CJ vaulted into that MVP conversation and very much so near the top. Jaden's been fantastic. Obviously, their defense is playing really well. They could run the football. And so it is crazy to think, hey, at least in that conversation or near that top, you got a guy that everyone said last year at this time sucked at football. And then you got a guy that last time this year was probably a 5th-round pick coming from college football. And it just shows you, how important development and who you're doing it with matters.
Yeah, Dan, I brought this point up. It's pretty amazing that you've got Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, all with winning records as rookie quarterbacks, and you've got two guys that squared off in Super Bowl 56, and Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford, both at 1-4. And Cincinnati, they're just losing really difficult one-possession games. The Rams are obviously really beat up. The Rams are going to get healthier after the bye and in the next couple of weeks. But both at 1-4, do you see either one of these teams being able to pull it out of the ditch and make a postseason run?
The answer is unlikely. But if I had to pick one, I'd still believe it would probably be the Bengals. the Rams, the health is so up in the air. I have no idea really what those receivers are going to come back or when, and then what they're going to be, and how long are they going to be reliable over the remainder of the season for their health? The Bengals, again, I'm hesitant, but their offense is just dumb good right now. And the defense is dumb bad right now. So can they place a better defense? Can they tackle a little bit better? Can they not give up as many explosive plays? But at least they're healthy. And I guess if I'm banking on one of those two teams being capable of it, be the team that's significantly healthier.
George Pickens is a local kid. You've been around the game a long time. Does your agent help you, or do you have your own personal, PR guy, PR firm that helps your image? Because this week with George Pickens, I'm reading about his eye black is being reviewed, load management. He's only playing this many plays. He's loafing on another place. Who's handling this guy's PR for him?
Yeah, not enough people, are certainly not the right ones. I'm a big fan of George. I called a couple of his games in college when he was at UGA, and let me re-say that I'm a big fan of his talent. I don't know the young man. He's a remarkable talent, but like when you watch tape, you go, well, you're not getting open that much.
Yeah.
And so is it because you're not talented to get open that much, or because, maybe we're not in the details, we're not straining enough, we're not separating enough at the top? At some point in this league, dude, you got talent sounds great. You got to produce. And your talent's got to produce consistently. And that's not happening enough for George. And that was a concern of mine going into the season for them. Is like, you love George. Is he really a one? Is he really, becoming that number one wide receiver? And so I think the world's of Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin's development is a big deal to him, but that's something that really needs to happen sooner rather than later in Pittsburgh.
We were talking injuries in the NFC West with the Rams. San Francisco has dealt with injuries, but something seems off with them at 2-3, and obviously they go to Seattle tonight. They're a short favorite on the road in Lumen Field. Is it just bad breaks? Is it injuries? Or do you think the offense is a little out of sync?
I think it's bad breaks and injuries. I really do. I just got into it on First Take with everyone. If their kicker doesn't get hurt last week, they're 3-2. Well, everyone's like, well, he got hurt. Well, yeah, it's their kicker. He got hurt. They don't have another person to kick the football. And then, if you go to the Rams loss, you tip your hat to the Rams, no question on that comeback. But they played that game without Kittle. They played that game without Debo. They got a 10-point lead. Again, with a couple minutes left, the kicker misses a kick. And then on Ronnie Bell drops a short completion to get a first down that with a minute that would have ended the game. And then they give up like a 40-yard kick return and then a 30-yard pass interference penalty. And that's how the Rams get in field goal range. So I think the way teams play matters a little bit more than their record right now.
I know you're a fan of college football and you still cover it very closely. You don't have to fall in one of these three cylinders, but when you saw Vandy beat Alabama, did you think, oh no, Alabama's slipping, or that this is just the NFL parody coming to college football, or that this is just college football and upsets like this happen?
Just college football and upsets like this happen. These are 18 to 21-year-old kids. Alabama's obviously coming off of one of the greatest college football games, certainly this year, maybe over the last couple years emotionally. And I also think it's probably fair to say Vandy is vastly improved under Clark Lee and not the Vandy of old. And so I don't want to say it was the perfect storm for Bama, but I don't think this is like the, oh my gosh, Nick Saban, we're going to be bad type of thing that I think some people have felt.
All right, he is Dan Orlovsky. You can see him all week on ESPN. Dan, thank you very much for the time.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right, buddy, you too. We'll see you next week. Dan with us every single Thursday at this time, courtesy of mybookie.ag. Code next round, the biggest underdog, I think 3 weeks so far in the NFL has won outright. I think it was the first 3 weeks. If you're looking for that home run play, Cleveland is your biggest underdog this weekend.
Yeah, there was I
think it was the first 3 weeks, the biggest underdog on the board won outright.
That's why everybody's in their suicide pool was done.
Yeah, that's right, because it was double digits, right? The first week, and it was the Patriots, right?
Patriots won over the Bengals.
Yeah.
I'm not going to remember them all.
10.5.
No, it was only like 7, but it was the only one over a touchdown.
Yeah, a lot of people are on the Bengals. Well, this week it's Cleveland at Philadelphia, 9.5. You'd feel great about Cleveland winning outright, right? A 9.5 point underdog. Deshaun Watson just walking off the field randomly. Yeah, it's just going great. MyBookie.ag is where you can play it, though, if you want to. MyBookie.ag, code next round. To get signed on there, you make your initial deposit with code NEXTROUND. They double that. Money you can play with right away there at mybookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Mybookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
So if you missed it, the NFL is reviewing George Pickens' eye black that we told you about on Monday that didn't have effing on there. It had the real word, open effing always, was on his eye black.
Right.
And there is a rule, go all the way back to the 80s with Jim McMahon, the 85 Bears, when he had stuff on his headband. There is rules that you can't do that. You get fined, and they can make you take it off and all that. So we'll see what happens with George Pickens' eye black if that becomes a thing. Does it come down to Ryan Williams? I know in the Georgia game he had to kill everybody on his eye
from
black.
The Program. That's a phrase from a movie. A lot of
movie,
people
The Program.
missed that reference.
Yeah.
He had something else this week. I can't remember
That's
what
right.
it was.
So he changes it every week, right?
It appears.
Yeah.
He's only 17, Jim, so he's played very little college football.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
So I don't know, but I first noticed it in the Georgia game, obviously, because everybody made a big deal. And then I saw him Saturday, and I don't even know what it said, but it said something different.
Yeah, I didn't see it Saturday either. I wonder, we don't have that rule in college, right? That you just leave that up to the coach?
I guess.
Because it's an NFL rule. It's like Code 5, Stance 3.
So is there just, you can't write anything, or it just can't be
any
a vulgarity?
personalized message.
No personalized message.
That goes back to the Pete Rozelle, Jim McMahon feud.
The old headband.
Yeah.
Like Bible verses?
Bible verses is
that's not a personal message. That's
they can choose if they want to enforce that. Now that would be, some people would say that's a bad look on the league, but
I think Tim Tebow did it though.
Yeah.
When he played. I mean, it's George Pickens, like that part of it right there. That'll get sorted out. I'm far more concerned about like Dan said, if you're that good, why are you not open more?
Well, he's only playing 59% of the snaps right now.
If you're that good, why are you only playing 59% of the snaps? And if you're that good, why can I pull up high 22 film and see you loafing? I mean, if that is in fact the case.
Look, go back to he was never on the field for Kirby Smart.
He was not. But boy, Lance, when he's on the field, he can be really good.
Yeah.
Okay, the last thing before we take a break and get to trash. Pretty amazing to think about in college football. I'll remind you, though, our friends at Champy's Chicken, champyschicken.com, available for you for the tailgating, for just picking it up, taking it home for lunch or dinner any night. Champyschicken.com, or you can call them up, 205-621-3991, 621-3991. Catering ideas, they'll handle parties and everything, and your tailgate. Brown loves a good dessert, banana pudding through the roof. They got the Mississippi mud pie, key lime pie there, made in-house. And also those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, the fried chicken, the chicken fingers of poor boys, and some really, we don't talk about enough, great smoked hot wings, all at Champy's Chicken with Sterling, Highway 119 in Alabaster. We have not really thought about this, but it becomes a scenario if Oregon keeps winning and Boise State doesn't lose again, and we start getting a little cannibalism in the Big 12. It's not mandated the Group of 5 conference champion is the 5 seed. Is there a possibility?
You mean the 12 seed?
Yeah, the 12 seed.
Right.
There is a possibility that the Group of 5 could be one of the 4 teams with a bye. Could you foresee Boise State with that close loss to Oregon, if they were to run the table, maybe passing Big 12 and or ACC champion to have the bye in the first round?
They're going to be
not a bye.
Yeah, they could be a 4. They could be a 4 seed.
Yeah, there's no way.
So if the way that rule works, if they're ranked higher than a Power 5 conference champion,
it's the top 4 conference champions. It's not power.
Now,
it's top 4 conference champions.
Conference champions. Now keep in mind, a committee controls this. This is not. They can do with it whatever they want.
That's right.
They can manipulate it any way they want.
That's right. But it's top 4 conference champions.
But I would think the only way would be if Boise went undefeated and won the Mountain West. They've already lost a game to Oregon. And I understand what you're saying. If Oregon goes undefeated, wins the Big Ten, then you look back at a
Oregon could be the
loss
number 1 team at that point.
Could be.
To Oregon. Then possibly. I think Boise is going to be favored in every game coming up, even on the road at UNLV in 2 weeks. Tricky game against San Jose State, and then they play Oregon State to end the year. That game is in Boise. I think Boise probably goes 11-1.
I thought you were about to make the case for me that Boise's not just locked into the 12 seed, guys. They could be the 11, they could be the 10. You're going actually beyond that.
No, I mean, because at that point they're a conference champion. So if they're I mean, just play out a scenario. We've got Iowa State. We've got BYU.
You still got West Virginia's undefeated. Texas Tech's undefeated in the conference.
So a lot to go in the Big 12. But if you end up 2 losses there, and you got 11-1 Boise State, then 12-1 when they win the Mountain West championship game, and their only loss, who could be to number 1 Oregon in a close game. You guys remember how close that was?
34.
I mean,
like Lance, let's say West Virginia somehow gets hot and wins the Big 12. They're undefeated right now. Who do you think's a better team, West Virginia or Boise?
Boise.
I do too.
Yeah. Or if Texas Tech stays hot. BYU. I brought it up. Boise, BYU. Who you got? You guys, that'd be a good game. That'd be a good game.
I mean, you're right. It's not the craziest thing.
And you know what happens then? Cha-ching, you cash that Heisman check for Genty, right?
Yeah, if Genty ever gets hurt, this offense is done.
It is.
You've got a first-year starting quarterback who's okay in the Maddox-Madsen kid. You've got a first-year head coach in Spencer Danielson who is saying the right stuff, but you just wonder, the deeper you get into the season, are they able to bottle this hype and not have a Alabama moment?
When people start talking like this is when Boise State drops a game they're not supposed to drop. Now,
it ain't gonna
be Saturday night. They're on the island, but they're a 20.5 point favorite, which is right where you found Alabama. So crazier things have happened already this college football season than Hawaii beating Boise.
Even crazier than Boise getting the bye in the playoffs, being one of the top 4 highest seeds, would be Emily Grace McWhorter's crazy Friday prediction.
We laughed her off the show. Much like we laughed Bobby, or whomever wanted Cam Newton, said Cam Newton was going to win the Heisman and Auburn were national champions in 2010. Looks stupid that we laughed now, but back then it was like, come on, Bobby. Yeah, got to get off the phone.
But when EG said 2 group of 5s in the college football playoffs, I still don't think it would happen.
There's zero chance.
But if Army and or Navy run the table and they're American Conference champions, it's going to be hard public relation wise to leave Army and or Navy off with a win over Notre Dame.
Yeah, you could easily leave them off in a 14 playoff, but a 12-team plaff, it would be difficult.
It's going to be hard. You're right. I don't even know who the playoff commissioner or the chairman is, the board chairman, whatever.
He's actually he's a general.
Oh, that's right. It's General Clark.
Yeah, it's General Clark.
I forgot all about that storyline.
That's part of the storyline, Brownie. So now you've got Boise State, who's going to be, I mean, these are wild scenarios, but it could be Mountain West champions, a top 4 conference champion with a bye, and oh, by the way, here's unbeaten Army and or Navy with the guy who's in charge of the committee, a general, retired general, and they're sitting out there unbeaten with a win over Notre Dame at that point.
And the retired general's got to say, we just did not think Army was good enough.
Yeah.
And you're like,
and then at that point, we got to buy Emily Grace something at that point.
No, I laughed her off the show on that one. I will still say that it is not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Army would have to obviously beat Notre Dame and then beat Navy. I'm trying to find I can't pull Navy's schedule right now.
I can. What you want to know?
I just want to know what other potential landmines are on there.
They both played Notre Dame still to come.
Yeah, so I was saying Army would have to beat Notre Dame and then beat Navy. I wonder if Navy's got anything. Now They
both survived UAB.
Oh, Navy's still got Tulane.
Army hasn't survived UAB yet.
Oh, that's this weekend.
It's this weekend. They're going to, but
this weekend.
And South Florida still on the road in Tampa. That could be a dangerous game.
South Florida, they're without Byron Brown right now. I don't know how long he's out.
Notre Dame, South Florida, Tulane still on Navy schedule. These teams aren't going undefeated. Yeah. Be a great story.
Just painting a scenario for you. Trash when we come back. There's that Navy football schedule for you coming down the road. LT's got trash, and then we'll put a wrapper on this show. Don't forget thebarnauburn.com, thebarnauburn.com, and covercrimson.com. You can sign up right now for just $1. But forget signing up for the premium content yet. Just go and subscribe over on YouTube to where you get the free shows from thebarnauburn.com. Kyle Rush with that Top Button podcast Monday through Friday every morning. Zach Blackerby and Brad Law with Village Vice. Or over on Cover Crimson on their YouTube channel. They both have their own YouTube channels, by the way, The Barn Auburn and Cover Crimson. Clint Lamb and Mick Gillespie with content coming out all the time. LT's Bama and Bourbon with Aaron Suttle. Mike Johnson is over there. Jake Coker is over there. Chris Stewart's over there. Stacy Blackwood's over there. But you can also sign up for just $1 starting out to get a tons of incredible insight and content. And subscribing there helps you out. Helps you be a better fan. TheBarnAuburn.com, TheBarnAuburn.com, and CoverCrimson.com. Go and check it out right now.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at RyanBrownLive.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
Hey, you. Feel that? That's fall in the air. And New Balance Birmingham got your fresh fall pair. To kick it during game time and sport from the sideline. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280 right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late-night bites. Only at Twin Peaks.
Let's face it, a home is one of the most powerful assets you can have, and our friends at Mortgage Right want to help you build wealth through home ownership. Mortgage Right is all about providing competitive rates, a variety of loan products, and a multitude of resources for a seamless home buying experience. They treat their borrowers like family and are always looking to bring more happy homeowners under their roof. See more by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR today and start living. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, equal housing lender.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
Our friends at Milo's Hamburger invites you to join them in the fight against hunger in our local communities by bringing non-perishable food items to your local Milo's, including canned goods. When you donate a canned good or any non-perishable food item, Milo's will give you a free drink. Together, we can make a difference.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today. Back with you on The Next Round, show number 803 today.
Oh,
what?
803 was yesterday, I thought.
Yep. 804.
What's that make today?
804 today. This is yesterday's sheet right here with some notes I want to carry over.
I like that Tyler's keeping up with it.
That's right. Or as some people count, show number 777. It doesn't matter. But we're having a good time here today as we get ready for a big college football weekend that continues tonight and the NFL. LT's got trash ready to go in a second, but tell us about our buddy Dr. B before we look at some other quick big games this weekend. Like Ole Miss LSU, it's a little bit off the radar.
Yeah, if you're starting to thin out a little bit, be preemptive. Go see our man, Dr. Beckenstein, best in the business. When it started to happen to me, I asked around. Everyone said this is the guy you need to go see. Dr. B takes pride in treating each patient personally, applying his expertise to produce those quality results for more than 20 years. Women and men have turned to Dr. B for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. Call 205-319-0316. That's 205-319-0316 or T3hair.net. I do that non-invasive treatment 3 times a week, 30 minutes each time on the couch. My hair has more than doubled in thickness. Make that call today.
I think one of you guys had Arizona BYU 3 o'clock Fox is a sneaky good game. If not, that's That's a sneaky good game. We're not talking, as LT pointed out, enough about Ole Miss and LSU this weekend, 6:30 on ABC. I think a lot of Alabama fans will tune in to watch Vandy and Kentucky, 6:45 on the SEC Network, the Tom Hart game there, just to see what Vandy looks like. And a lot of people are going to have money up probably on Vandy getting 14 points in that game. So I think a lot of people will be tuning in going, man, I'm glad I listened to the next round. I didn't fall into that trap that Kentucky was going to beat them.
That number's not moving, Lance. It's still 13.5. I would be fascinated to know what kind of trend there is on like where the money is falling. Like you always talk about public money.
Yeah, I would think it's probably 60-40 because
Right.
I think there are some people out there that are like, Vanderbilt's going to come down from this ridiculous high.
So do you feel better about Kentucky beating and covering Vandy or Kansas State, Colorado, which has been your pint of blood game?
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. You're going to get some public money on Kansas State because people want to see Deion go down. And Kansas State is coming off a bye, and Chris Kleiman is a night and day more accomplished coach. Obviously Colorado's got the better quarterback. They probably have the better offense. Colorado, the game that stood out to me was Central Florida. Now, that lost a little luster after Central Florida gets completely dominated by Florida and Gainesville, and Central Florida has just completely fallen apart. But they had double-digit tackles for loss. They had 5 sacks. If Colorado's defense can play like that against Kansas State, yeah, they can win the game. I just don't see it happening. I don't think it can hold up, and I don't think their offensive line can hold up against Kansas State.
It's down to 3.5. It has dropped. I think it was 4 this morning. Continues to drop. Kansas State 3.5-point favorite.
Very strange.
Well, I'll get Lance.
That's
By
right.
tomorrow,
no,
Lance.
I don't think you will on that one.
You're not going to come in?
The number's moving the wrong way. If it was,
you want to go up?
Yeah, if it was like Kansas State 6.5, then we could get the blood out.
Okay, so this is swinging back.
This is swinging the wrong way.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll quit asking. I'll quit asking.
All right, going in the wrong direction of what looked like it was going to be an iconic play from Lance earlier in the week. Don't forget, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time, we kick off the game days with a little show on our video platforms only, and we'll do that again coming up this Saturday. But right now, it is time for trash. Tyler's going to hit the big button. Man, we thought we had another trash open from Mike Elko, but his 6-inch comment was played out differently in written form than it actually was when he said it.
Didn't pay off, huh?
It was not the payoff we'd wanted. So we got traditional trash opens right here. Hit the big button, Tyler, now.
Do y'all usually start before 8 o'clock with a chainsaw?
What time is it, sir?
Well, it's after 8 now. You guys started firing it up at 7:55.
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages
I gotta
done
say,
the right way.
Since my tree that Grace came out and cleaned up fell on his fence, I haven't heard anything. And, leaves are all over the place right now.
So your guy's not blowing leaves? You think he might have moved? Could you have missed a move in there?
I mean, he's retired. I mean, I would hope that maybe he just likes looking at leaves now, or hope he's okay. I haven't seen him.
I mean, before you tell us about Mortgage Right, can I just real quickly give you this quote that Travis Brown tweets it out. He's a senior Texas A&M sports writer for KPTX Sports who covered this. I went back and listened to the news conference. Didn't really come up with exactly. He mentioned 6 inches one time here, but this is the way Travis tweets the Mike Elko news conference. Mike Elko said a mantra of the program this season is, quote, focus on the 6 inches in front of your face, end quote. Said if they do that, when the end of the season comes and they lift their head up, they'll like what they see. We were hoping that was in a very context soundbite.
What did it sound like? I mean, how bad was it?
He mentions 6 inches in front of the face, and all the other stuff may have come in a print interview. We've yet to find the audio, but there's the tweet.
Yeah.
Focus on the 6 inches in front of your face. If they do that, when the end of the season comes and they lift their head up, they'll like what they see.
Yeah, that could be taken out of context.
Yeah. I thought that was going to be a trash open for a second.
Trash, always brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right. No cost or obligation to find out what you might qualify for if you're in the house buying market. Rates coming down just a little bit. 205-900-7200. MortgageRight.com/TNR. NMLS 2239. Equal housing lender. In a story better befitting a melodrama than a popularity vote, a bear named Grazer won her second Fat Bear contest Tuesday by defeating the male behemoth that killed her cub this summer.
Is this the actual photo, Tyler? We have to ask this now.
Yes, this is Grazer.
No stock photo. That Lance is a fat bear. I'm going to give you that.
Grazer beat Chunk by more than 40,000 votes cast by fans watching live cameras at explore.org of Alaska's Katmai National Park and Preserve. Now, fans cast votes online for their favorite chunky competitor in the tournament-style brackets that begins with 12 bears. They pick the bear they believe best exemplifies winter preparedness by the fat they have accumulated over the summer feeding on the sockeye salmon that return to Brooks River. Now, the bears often perch at the top of the falls in the river, grabbing leaping salmon out of the air as the fish attempt to hurdle the waterfall to spawn upstream. This is where Grazer's cub died after it slipped over the waterfall and was killed by Chunk.
Oh, see, it's going to be the pity vote there. I would go Grazer all day long.
Perhaps the most dominant brown bear on the river, Grazer fought Chunk in an effort to save the cub, but it later died. The death was captured live on cameras. Grazer has the conspicuously long blonde ears, the straight muzzle, according to her bio page at explore.org. Chunk, perhaps the largest bear on the river. Can we see Chunk?
I do not have a picture of Chunk.
Oh, Chunk didn't show up for the photo op.
Yeah, I couldn't find a picture of Chunk, actually.
But this is Grazer.
Can you do me a favor tomorrow during trash? Can you see if you can find the video of them snatching the salmon out of the air?
All right.
Because that just seems like it'd be an iconic video. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, it's not because it's not like they're moving fast.
Yeah, they're flopping up in the air like that.
These things are.
But they're just snatching them out of midair.
Oh yeah, Bad Bear's got some quickness now.
Annual contest drew more than 1.3 million votes. There are still 2,200 brown bears that live on the preserve in the Alaska Peninsula. You know, the black bear is typically not one you want to worry about, but that one is.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, if I'm trapped by him, do I just put on a gold bikini and lay down at his stomach and just become whatever he wants me to be?
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is on the old bear.
Such an image. Yeah. I'll be your Princess Leia.
A mother who transforms frozen rats into, quote, sexy showgirls with colored feathers, handmade nipple covers, and fake eyelashes has said her novelty taxidermy business regularly requires 12-hour days to keep up with demand. This is so strange.
What does she stuff there? Are those rats?
Caitlin Hills, 36, runs her business called Showtime Taxidermy from her home, where she sells quirky and bizarre rats for $193. The rodents are dressed, posed as glam performers, and it all began during a craft night 4 years ago. Caitlin went on to say, quote, "We watched videos online. We made our first taxidermy together. Me, my daughter, my sister. It was comically bad, but we loved it. We had such a fun time. We did it again. We made others, and the natural next step was, let's make it sexy and fun and add costumes." After posting pictures online, Caitlin realized that people were not only delighted to see her creations, but they wanted to buy them as well, and Showtime Taxidermy was born.
These poor animals, they never knew that it was going to be, I'm dead.
Now, Caitlin explains she buys the rats frozen from an ethical local breeder who supplies food for zoos, keeps them in a large freezer. The rats cost $4 each, but Caitlin ensures there is as little waste as possible as a friend uses the bones to make jewelry.
Oh, my God.
Man, who in the hell wants one of these things?
Yeah, the bones to make jewelry is worse. I don't know.
The best part is she said she was coming up with the idea and said, well, the natural next step is to put them in a showgirl outfit.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
you're just sitting there playing with a dead rat. Yeah. Well, let's make it sexy.
You know what the natural next step would be, right?
DEADTOGO, dead to go is what they are. They're bedazzled rats. Get them out of here.
Bracket challenge. Loser has to wear one of those around their neck for a week.
Oh, God, it just made me cringe.
They've got it where they don't smell now, I would assume.
Oh, I wouldn't bet on that.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't smell. It'd just be itchy a little bit. But Dunaway wore that coonskin cap for a long time.
You did. Yeah. Did you wear it on 42 or you refused to wear it on 42?
It was only 24 hours I had to wear it, I think. Maybe it was 48. Can't remember now. But I did. I went and told my news director when I showed up from work, and he was like, what's up with the hat?
Was Ballard pissed?
I don't know if Ballard knew, but I think it was the news director, Mr. Pear. And I was like, hey.
Mr. Pear?
I was like, Mr. Pear, I maybe the backup guy needs to anchor tonight. I've got to wear this hat for 48 hours or whatever it was. And he's like,
boy.
No, man. That could be good ratings. Let's give it a shot.
Were you in a suit and tie wearing a coonskin?
79-year-old woman in midfield rubbing her eyes. Is he wearing a coonskin hat?
Jim's hair's grown back.
Honey, I think Daniel Boone's doing them.
Jim's hair's grown back, and he's got a rat tail.
Did you get any response or reaction from wearing it on the news?
Oh yeah. Because I had to explain it. So
No, I'm just talking about from did you people coming up to you? Hey man, I saw you on the news.
I can't remember what I lost. It was something to do with Tennessee.
Oh no, I was going to have to have
game.
Yeah, I was going to have a
hound for a pet.
No, I was going to have to get a
a
basset hound.
No, not a basset hound.
Blue tick hound.
Yeah, blue tick.
Yeah, it was going to be your new pet.
Oh, they're so loud.
What was it? Did Tennessee playing who? Why
Oklahoma.
Why were you so big on Tennessee? Well, because it's SEC and Oklahoma was the Big 12 at the time.
Yeah.
Lance
But that was the one.
that
Wasn't Tennessee up like 17-0 at the half or something?
I don't know.
Oh, was that game
And
in
that-
Knoxville where
it was in
Oklahoma
Knoxville,
came
yeah.
all the way back and won?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
But
was
at halftime.
17-0.
I was like, he's getting that
Let's
dog.
get a dog.
He's getting a dog. And you were so beat up at that point. You were like,
Well, it was just going to be.
I don't want that kind of dog.
I didn't want that kind of dog. I'm sure I would have fallen in love
Oh,
with it.
you would have. But you've always had unique dogs. That was more. That was
This
a more
was-
domestic American dog.
I don't think so. Do you know anybody that's got a blue tick hound?
I
No,
don't.
but a hound. I mean, they're.
I think there are much more people that have. I used to have Italian Greyhounds or Vizslas than a blue tick hound.
Wow.
I think there are
I've never heard
a
of
lot
a
of people
Because
that
those
have.
stupid Kardashians, the Italian Greyhounds are like $4,000 a piece now.
Yeah.
I
How
think
much were
they're
they
in
when you
high
got them?
demand? I mean, they're still in it. I mean,
I thought you rescued them.
no.
You
no,
can
no.
still do that.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I thought you rescued them from Green Track.
No, those are
run
those are
Italian
Greyhounds.
Okay. The entire time I would tell
Yeah,
Maggie,
no.
I was like, LT is so cool, man. He rescued 2 of those dogs from the Greyhound Track.
Green track.
A mysterious person known as the Piss Bandit has been causing a stir in Pasadena for the past 6 years. Person comes out at night, donned with a mask, latex gloves, leaving bottles of urine in an influential neighborhood, carefully arranging them on a utility box before vanishing into the night, according to the New York Post. Now, the bottles, which also include soda bottles, juice cartons, gallon jugs filled with yellow liquid, and are accompanied by crude drawings and notes like human urine, HIV positive.
No.
The bandit sometimes strikes multiple times a week, leaving behind fresh bottles each morning that disappear by nightfall.
My
Now,
gosh, how much you got to pee?
TikTok videos about the case have garnered around 600,000 views. As a local expressed disgust, stating he never considered the act an art form. Another neighbor threatened the bandit, saying, quote, "If I catch you leaving your piss here, I'm going to make you drink every last drop of it."
My precious. Put his picture back up. He looks like, my precious. My precious.
Yeah, this guy's got issues.
You
This is
think?
how it starts.
Yep.
Leaving piss.
That's right.
He's going to start peeping up dresses.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, he's going to start putting kids in the back of his van.
That's right. Yeah,
So this is where it starts. It starts with just leaving pee everywhere.
Well, I think it's an early stage. I don't know if it's
Okay.
like the very beginning, but I'm with Lance. This is an early
Yeah.
stage of a guy that we end up having
This
to pull.
is, have you seen Don't F with Cats?
I have. Yeah.
It's a very good documentary, by the way. But it started out, and you knew the dude was troubled, and you knew he needed to go down early. If you would have taken him, shot him in the head, and dropped him in a ditch, things would have been better. But I guess they couldn't find him. But anyway, you guys need to see that documentary.
Well,
Kills a cat, everybody goes after him.
We got a picture of this guy. He ought to be easy to find.
That's what the.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Still think he looks
I don't
like
know.
that.
What
People
is the
thought.
mask? Is it a pantyhose?
I can't really tell. What's he wearing?
They said it was some kind of latex mask.
Yeah, it
I'm
seems
not,
like-
I'm not sure if that
Yeah.
means he just put pantyhose over his head or
little bit.
or what.
Doesn't have the shoulders. Internet personality Jack
A
Doherty.
little Stanford Steve?
I don't see that.
I got a pick on this game. My bottle of piss game of the week.
Jack Doherty. Do you know who this is?
Jack Doherty,
He
I
is
do.
a streamer that has been banned off of most platforms
Yeah.
and is now on one that is sponsored by Steak, I think.
So he's probably not obnoxious at all.
Like
Oh, yeah.
steak, like STEAK?
AKE, the
Okay.
betting service.
Oh,
And,
what
they
is-
allow a lot of.
Here's what he's done
Oh, yes.
recently. Jack Doherty crashed his $200,000 McLaren during a live stream this weekend after appearing to look at his phone while driving in the rain. Now, a YouTuber with nearly 15 million subscribers, Doherty, 20 years old, known online for his controversial prank videos, wealth flaunting. He streamed the crash on Kick, where his channel was banned following the incident. A clip of the stream that circulated online appeared to show Doherty seemingly speeding on a wet highway while glancing down at his phone in his hand before exclaiming, "No, no, no, no," as he lost control of his car and veered into a guardrail.
See, I saw this video and I instantly thought it was fake.
I kind of was with Dunaway. Like, it seemed staged.
Yeah.
Now,
Because the impact didn't seem real,
Yep.
and then it was an edit to the aftermath.
that's right. Yeah.
But
Now,
why
I
would
mean,
you stage
Well, I mean,
wrecking your $200,000 car.
We're talking about him. The guy thrives on people knowing his name.
If I've got 15 million followers and my video gets 20 million hits, how much money do I make?
It's a significant amount. But.
See, this guy gets paid to be a complete idiot 24/7.
Right.
So
we
he's
kinda
made
do too.
millions of dollars doing it. So I actually think it's a real car wreck. He was just being stupid, but
this is the kind of guy, when I pull my celebrity birthdays, he's like number one.
Yep.
And a guy like Chris Berman, hate him or love him, is like number 80 on there, and he's accomplished a lot more.
Hey, I finally caught Berman back on Monday night halftime this past week, and it was good to hear him come up with a couple of names.
Yeah, he hadn't lost his fastball.
No, the names are good.
Yeah, that's an ugly car anyway.
Yeah, you can tell. I think it's a formerly wrecked one.
Oh, you think he bought that off the junk heap?
Yeah, and that's why it's painted like that and all that. In my opinion. I mean, I know you probably think all the wrestling is real and all that, but I'm gonna say this was staged.
The wraps sometimes cost more than just regular paint.
Yeah, that's a terrible wrap.
It's a
That's
bad
awful.
wrap.
Yeah,
I
awful.
agree with that.
It's almost like the guy just wants attention.
Deontay Wilder had his Anaconda wrap.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Hey, our trash always brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right. Look, if whether you're buying your first home or your final home, whether you need a huge down payment, our friends there, they can help. Again, free advice, nothing to lose. Call them 205-900-7200, NMLS 2239, or mortgageright.com.
Just for my own personal knowledge, he had a car that was wrapped in a anaconda skin-like
That is
thing.
correct.
Yeah, okay.
It was a limbo, wasn't it?
Yeah, because my old
Yeah, right.
ears
Yeah.
heard he had his anaconda wrapped.
That could be the case too.
Didn't know if
I don't
he
know
had
if you
a
owned a
snake,
snake. Yeah.
that was wrapped up.
Yeah, I think based on his kids, I don't think that Anaconda's been wrapped.
I set him up, you knock him down. All right, some college football to end the show here with LTD&B. Don't forget, a week from tonight, we're out with Bud Light game night again. And I'm trying to remember where we are.
I've got it right here.
There's the Anaconda
That's
wrap.
a Rolls. That wasn't even a Lambo.
Rolls SUV, and I don't even know the price point on that. Do you know?
No, I have no clue. I think he had a Lambo too that was.
Is that Deontay's?
I think that's.
I looked up Deontay Wilder Anaconda car. and that
Okay.
was
Well,
the
no,
first one.
it was. I think it was a Lamborghini. It's the one he had downtown before a fight.
We're
I
at
think
the Goose.
Deontay's
Oh,
a
sorry.
spender, right?
Yeah,
there it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Skin.
yeah.
There it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Gator
there's-
skin. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Gator skin.
Oh, that was the other car he drove.
Yeah.
Where are we next
We're
Thursday,
at the
Brandon?
Goose. You can find the Goose. Lance, you've been there.
I've been to the Goose. It's cool, little intimate place, Avondale.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, NFL Sunday ticket there.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
They've got a great selection of cold beers, including Bud Light, that we will be down there for. But yeah, really cool place. Kind of a local Avondale establishment.
Yeah, 4th Avenue South. The Goose is the name of it. 4th Avenue South.
That's a week from tonight, 5 to 7. We'll be hanging out down there and leading into another Thursday night of football coming up next week. All right, some college football to end here. Most likely to get upset this weekend, Texas or Ohio State?
Well, a couple stories in the Texas game real quick. One is not a surprise that Steve Sarkisian has confirmed Quinn Ewers is going to start. Everybody thought Quinn Ewers is going to start. One that could affect the game even more than that, believe it or not, just because of how pedestrian their offense could be. Pete Thamel's reporting right now that Oklahoma's leading wide receiver, Deion Burks, is not expected to play. Lance, 26 receptions, 201 yards aren't exactly huge numbers, but that led Oklahoma right now. And he, according to Pete Thamel at least, his sources are saying he's going to be out of the game. He had been listed as questionable in the availability report.
Yeah, look, I know it's a rivalry. I don't see a path to victory, at least right now. I mean, Oklahoma, again, forcing turnovers. We did bring that up. Quinn Ewers, maybe a little bit of rust, but Ohio State's only a 3.5-point favorite.
So more likely, both of them survive, though, right? In your gut of guts?
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State's the better team, but in that situation with a veteran quarterback, that crowd, I could see Oregon win that game.
And give you an opportunity to brag on Indiana again if you'd like. I think they're bye this week, are they? 6-0 this week? I can't remember if they're bye or not.
I'll pull them up.
Who, Indiana?
Yeah,
they're on a bye.
I thought so. So they're 6-0 halfway through their season. More likely, Alabama 9-3 or Indiana 11-1 or both.
Alabama 9-3.
So Jim throws the one in there because Indiana does play at Ohio State.
Yeah, here's what I would say about Indiana. The only bowl eligible team right now. They have yet to trail this entire year. I know they haven't played great competition, but to not trail in any game through 6, through a half a season is pretty incredible.
Their best win is they've beaten FIU, Western Illinois, at UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, at Northwestern. Their best win is Maryland at home, 42-28.
So they're about to get a dose of reality.
Well, here's what they've got coming up. They host Nebraska next week. That's their homecoming. Certainly a losable game.
Yeah, I do think they win that game, though.
They host Washington. We just saw Washington beat Michigan. That's a losable
Washington
game.
is a sneaky good team.
Pleasant surprise, yes.
They're at Michigan State. It's a losable game.
Yeah, it is.
They host Michigan. Obviously a losable game. Probably be an underdog in that game, wouldn't you think?
By then, I don't know.
Yeah. After the bye, the one you went ahead and gave them at Ohio State, and then they finished the season hosting Purdue, who's not very good right now.
No, that's a for sure
That
win.
should be a
but
win.
that's their only for sure win.
Yeah, it's going to be much more difficult down the stretch.
I don't know. I think 9-3 is definitely on the table for Bama. I would say more likely, 9-3 Bama.
Yeah, I think that's more likely. That's less about Alabama, more about Indiana, though.
Baseball cranks back up tonight with a doubleheader. Cleveland at Detroit. Detroit wins, and that series is over with. The Tigers would be from 8 games below 500 mid-August to the AL Championship Series. That's 5 o'clock TNT. And then New York and Kansas City at 7 o'clock on TBS. Those games were overlapped, the end and the beginning of those two games on different Turner networks there. Only one player in Major League history has won a batting title in 3 different decades. That guy is who?
Batting title in 3 different decades. I am randomly going to say that guy. I've got 2 decades. I don't think he did a third. I think Tony Gwynn did it in the 80s and 90s. I don't know if Wade Boggs did it the third time.
I mean, do you have to go way back like Ty Cobb or something like that?
Nope. We've interviewed this guy on the show.
Dale Murphy?
Nope.
No, we have interviewed Dale Murphy on the show.
But he's not the answer.
George Brett.
It is George Brett.
Yeah.
Won it in 1976, 1980, and 1990.
Okay.
3 different decades there. And at least in the I didn't see him last night when I was watching that game, but in the Yankee Stadium game, he had a good box seat, wife and/or girlfriend sitting next to him. And he was on TV a lot. That guy, and he was cheering, man. He loves him some Kansas City Royals.
The only interaction I've ever had with him was the day he was on the show, and I loved him. He was fantastic.
Oh, he was great. Yeah,
he got a cold beer, or no, he got a margarita, right?
Margarita, and had a chaw in.
And was chewing.
I mean, before Pat Mahomes, you could say he's the most famous, most accomplished Kansas City athlete.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
And there you go, 76, 80, 90. I mean, that covers a lot of time in Kansas City. That's our show today. Don't forget, everything continues. If you missed part of the show, it's podcasted every day at Apple and Spotify. Go ahead and subscribe there so it's loaded up for you whenever you want the show. Pennant Grace live show coming up here in just a second. Ush and EG slide in here to talk a little baseball with you. Braves offseason, all that's on the table. Until next time, God bless you. God bless America.